Are you struggling to keep up with the top drivers? Are you ready to get faster and more consistent? If so, it doesn't have to take as long as you might think. With the VRS competitive subscription, you'll have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything you need to analyze your driving and see exactly where you're losing time. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off your lap times. When it comes to your equipment holding you back, the powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the best drivers in the world, including Jordan Caruso, Tim Ryan, Jordi Lopez, and Oscar Piastri. It's no secret that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also the best value for money. So if you're looking to upgrade your wheelbase to direct drive and want highly adjustable, ultra-realistic pedals, VRS is your answer. You can get better, faster, and more consistent in less time and for less money. You owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. Just go to the URL or the button below and learn why the best use VRS. Are you struggling to keep up with the top drivers? Are you ready to get faster and more consistent? If so, it doesn't have to take as long as you might think. With the VRS competitive subscription, you'll have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything you need to analyze your driving and see exactly where you're losing time. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off your lap times. When it comes to your equipment holding you back, the powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the best drivers in the world, including Jordan Caruso, Tim Ryan, Jordi Lopez, and Oscar Piastri. It's no secret that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also the best value for money. So if you're looking to upgrade your wheelbase to direct drive and want highly adjustable, ultra-realistic pedals, VRS is your answer. You can get better, faster, and more consistent in less time and for less money. You owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. Just go to the URL or the button below and learn why the best use VRS.
New GT3 tires and physics, a new damage model, and potentially the final race on the existing scan of VIR make for a compelling NARL round number 2. We saw drama of every variety at Road America last week, and we expect plenty of the same here tonight. Can Blake Scott potentially break his amateur tie with Aubrey Kundle? Does Mitchell Johnson make it back-to-back in Pro-Am? And might Gustavo Ariel be back off to another championship-winning start? Welcome to Pit Stop TV. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV with JP Costa alongside. And round 2 this season brings us to Alton, Virginia, and a track that simply never disappoints, JP.
Absolutely, Andrew. This track is absolutely amazing. We've been here many times with Pit Stop TV with many different seasons, with many different cars, and every single time, Andrew, the racing is fantastic. And today, obviously, as you mentioned, we have essentially a brand new GT3 car. We have brand new physics, brand new tire model, and obviously the new damage model, which should punish the drivers a bit more should they make contact with another one. So, as you mentioned, we have a tie in the amateur standings, Andrew, and that's a perfect way to kick off round 2, isn't it?
That it is. Let's take a look at our standings coming into this evening. Blake Scott tied up with Aubrey Kundle right up front. Mario Miranda just 2 points back in third. Matthew O'Leary in fourth, 3 points back, and you can deliberate from there, see all of the rest of the standings in the top 20. And JP, this is interesting. We don't usually have ties after one round, but the fastest lap and the pole went to Aubrey Kundle, so he gets the bonuses and ties it up with Blake Scott, who won last week at Road America.
Yeah, obviously really important. This just shows, what exactly you need sometimes to fight for the championship. Just getting pole and getting the fast lap throughout the race is going to equalize you in points with the driver that wins. So it's really important to be consistent across all sessions of the racing. And obviously, if you can be consistent through all of them, even if you don't win, you're going to be tied up with the racing winning drivers. So really important for drivers to focus again on the qualifying that is just about to start.
Yeah, practice wraps up with Aubrey Kundle on top over Mark Scott, Blake Scott, Kareem Hussein, Milan Harris, John Kroom, Kyle Petit, Matthew O'Leary, Bradley Alvis, and Mike Braun. Let's talk about the track here at VIR, Virginia International Raceway, located in Alton, Virginia, just over the North Carolina state line. In fact, it's so close to North Carolina that you have to go from North Carolina anyways into Virginia, back into North Carolina, and then back into Virginia in order to get to the track. It is located in Supreme Racing Land. Of course, oval racing dominates the area, but road course racing is just as strong when it comes to America's Motorsport Resort, VIR. Horseshoe kicks off the lap. It's NASCAR bend in turn number 3, then left hook, up through the lower S's, which is also called snake, to the upper S's at 7, 8, and 9, it's South Bend turn 10, and of course, famous Oak Tree at turns 11 and 12. The back straightaway past South Paddock, up to Roller Coaster, down through Hog Pen. That's a lap here at VIR.
And what an exciting lap it is, Andrew. We've seen overtakes in pretty much every single corner, and I think on this racetrack, and obviously action as well. We've seen plenty of last lap overtakes down into Roller Coaster and Hog Pen, and obviously sometimes race-winning moves down in Horseshoe. It's absolutely amazing, and it's still full of challenges on its essentially up and down, essentially a roller coaster style of a racetrack, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and it's fitting that one of the corners here is named Roller Coaster at 14, 14A, and 15. That, of course, brings you down to Hog Pen that wraps up the lap. So that is where a lot of passes are made. That's where you've got to make moves, I think, to win this race. And, of course, you've got to set them up for Oak Tree. You've got to get a good run out of Oak Tree on the back straightaway to take advantage of Roller Coaster and Hog Pen. Every corner here leads into the next. Every corner is more important than the previous. That's how things go here at VIR. Thanks so much for joining us here at Pit Stop TV. Before we get going, make sure to follow along here on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, the whole lot of them. Follow along for all of tonight's action. We've got social media updates going out thanks to, of course, to Emerson Arden. I see a lot of you guys checking in. Qualifying opening up, 8 minutes to go in the session. Let us know where you're watching from this evening. Let us know who you're pulling for. I know a lot of you guys already are, but let's go. Let's start getting the check-ins here this evening in the chat, and just let us know how you're doing this evening in general. Let's start going through the cars. And JP, we talked about it a little bit briefly before we went live. Car choices, they've certainly changed. Preferences, they have changed coming into this season. Let's go. Here we go. We have an Audi. We have an Audi. We have a Lamborghini, so an Italian Audi. We have another Italian Audi. We have a Porsche, oddly with J.R. Gregory. Then we have a Lamborghini with Logan Boone. Then we have a Porsche with Milan Harris. A Mercedes with Thomas Baker. And then an Audi. An Audi. An Italian Audi. An Italian Audi. An Audi. An Audi. There we go, a Ferrari, an Italian something else, and then a Porsche, Brent Kingcott's in an Audi, Matthew Leary, oh, he's in an Audi, Brian Long, hey, we got a BMW in the field, Aaron Beaver, oh, yep, there it is, an Audi for Aerokinetics, and then, oh, an Italian Audi, what's this, oh, that's an Audi, oh, there we go, we have a Ferrari 488, a BMW, oh, there we got an Audi, Italian Audi, BMW, Joe Nagy's got a Porsche, so we do have a little bit of diversity, but a lot of Audis and Italian Audis.
Yeah, it seems like a bit of the opposite from what we had last week. Last week looks like we had a bit more Porsches. This week, a bit more Audi. So sticking with the German theme, and you can see just how difficult a Porsche can be with the new update, the 777 Porsche suffering a little bit on Oak Tree. There we go, we have the 173 Mercedes. So it's switching a bit from car to car, which is exactly what we want, isn't it? You know, just a bit of diversity. You know, even if we have an Audi, the Italian Audi, and then Italian Audi's cousin, the Ferrari, and everything else, it's just a lot of fun to see different cars. And obviously seeing how the drivers adapt to each and every single car is going to be fun throughout this race. But you can see right here, Turcotte looks like he's finishing his lap coming down to Hog Pen, and the Mercedes, well, looks stable as usual, Andrew, but can this lap be, well, the pole lap?
Dominic Turcotte to the start-finish line. It's not a slouch of a lap. A 146 is not bad. I'll call it a 148, actually, so it's still not that bad as Aubrey Kundle's in the 145s, though. A 145.901. And it's an Italian Audi on top here for Aubrey Kundle and the Wrong Stuff Racing. John Kroom in an Audi is second. We've got another Audi in third. Audis are going to dominate this field. How about this? Mike Braun, fourth place in a Mercedes.
That is very interesting, Andrew, to see the Mercedes going that quickly. Hopefully it can improve, find a bit more time in the second and third lap. We're just going to see how these tires react to obviously being driven to the limit. And, well, the 107 currently looks fast, almost 6/10 of a second slower, but looks like he's committed to the racetrack.
Karim Hussein in an Audi is currently in the 7th position. Mario Miranda, top 10 currently in qualifying with his BMW. So we do have a little bit of variety, but heavily Audi and Lamborghini. And that's going to be the theme, I think, at least to start. And maybe Giuliano Romagnolo, Stu himself, can maybe shed a little bit of light, but you know, we've seen a big GT3 update, and we'll talk about it here in a moment when qualifying winds down. A big GT3 update 2 days ago to the iRacing.com sim. It's entirely changed really everything about these GT3 cars, aside from the shells they're built with. The way the tires handle, the way the tires age, the way the tires take temperature, the physics, it's really all changed here, including pit stops. In fact, let's just go ahead and bring the graphic up here for a moment and talk about this properly, because we do have a graphic for it. GT3 updates, here we go. New damage model, updated tire model. Old setups will not pass tech. Most tires will now only last 1 fuel stint or less. That's the important part here. Driving style will now have more influence on tire wear. Tire wear will more accurately match the real world based on track temp, usage, and track type. Complete balance of performance overhaul. Revised brake pads options and performance, and tire changes and refueling may not happen simultaneously. That's the other big note here. So that really does change. We'll highlight that again in a moment, but that really does change just about everything in this GT3 class and turns it up on its head. That's why we see Porsches are pretty much gone, BMWs as well. We see Audis and Lamborghinis. Those are just the cars that feel good right now, and it certainly looks good as it's a Lamborghini out front, then an Audi, then an Audi, then an Audi, and then a Porsche.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that I like most about this update, Andrew, is the fact that driving styles will affect tire wear. So drivers that maybe are a bit more cautious throughout the race, they can have a better tire life at the end of the race, allowing them to push. Whereas those drivers that, well, have pushed throughout the race, you know, for over 35 minutes, maybe at the end of the race, the tires might fall off a cliff. You know, we might see drivers struggling a lot on the final few laps. If that comes to happen, I feel like that would be exciting to watch as a viewer. Obviously, if you're the driver having the tires fall off the cliff, that is not a lot of fun, but it brings that sort, you know, the strategy, you know, how much to push, when to push, and I think that all rewards, you know, just a better driving and a better race experience for us watching.
Here's the onboard for Karim Hussein, currently in second in qualifying, pushing on lap 3 here. May have a heater for us. Most of the field onto their third lap, and so they'll wrap up their qualifying this next lap. Let's dig in the field a little bit. Here's Avon Dorsey in a new number 87 Brand new paint scheme dropped today for his new company on the side of the car. And, you know, I don't speak French, so unfortunately I'm not going to take a shot at the pronunciation there with the apostrophe in it. That looks pretty French to me. But I'm glad to be able to have helped Avon Dorsey with this paint scheme. And it is a fast time, purple time for Blake Scott to the top of the board by a 10th and a half. I just wanted to highlight this new paint scheme, though, for Avon Dorsey, debuting it here today at Virginia International Raceway, based heavily on Rothman Porsches that you've seen throughout the course of history. Aubrey Kundle now sitting in the pit lane, not a chance to go back after pole, so Aubrey will start second or worse. But how about Karim Hussein? He just wrapped up his run, and he goes no farther north. So the chances for these drivers now to unseat Blake Scott at the top of the board, they're running out.
Yeah, absolutely, Andrew. I think that I've noticed last week the first lap was the blizzing lap. Every single lap after that we saw the times dropping. This time we're seeing drivers go faster and faster as the tires get up to temperature, get up to pressure, so we can see that progression, which is really good to see. Looks like Aubrey couldn't really capitalize on that. Looks like the first lap was the one that stuck, and meanwhile everybody else has been improving, closing that gap down lap after lap. So it looks like the third lap might be the fastest for almost all the drivers out there.
Let's go on board with Matthew O'Leary. He's headed up the backstretch for his final lap of qualifying. And this could be a guy that actually goes up there and knocks Blake Scott down. I don't know if it's going to happen. He's still 0.6 off based on his best lap so far. But into roller coaster, O'Leary's got a shot at the very least. He is the highest driver that still has a qualifying lap that he is finishing up. So we'll see what the number 18 Audi is able to do here through Hogpen. Nice, clean, tidy line, but how does it look on the time charts? Down the front straightaway. And the start-finish line, it's quick, but is it quick enough? No, he picks up just 1/1000th of a second, so it's really almost an insult to call that quicker.
Yeah, it's consistent, isn't it? I think that's the level of consistency that you want from your laps, just to be within thousands of each other. So he did achieve that. Unfortunately, did not improve that much. Meanwhile, we have Philip Badurka in his number 70. Looks like Lamborghini, and he's coming up to roller coaster. This is going to be his final opportunity, Andrew. Currently 1.6 seconds off the pole with a 147.3. Can he improve as he goes through Hogpen? You can just see how much he's pushing the car, almost getting the tires onto the dirt. Now he's just flat out to the line.
Philip Badurka, the run to the line, 10 seconds to go. And counting down, is it going to be any faster than 147.380? It is faster, and that's going to move him from 28th position to 25th spot. So only up a couple of rows, but hey, positions are positions here in qualifying, and I'm sure Philip will gladly take them as time expires on our qualifying session at VIR. It's just round number 2. Let's take a quick look at the North American Racing League Season 4 schedule. Elkhart Lake last week at Road America. Tonight, it's VIR. Next week, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the final rounds of 2022, JP. And as we always say, it's an impressive schedule.
Yes, it is, Andrew. To finish off in Canada and then restart, in 2023 in Brazil, I don't think you can ask for anything better than obviously heading to Suzuka, Spa, Brands Hatch, and obviously Daytona is just, full of amazing racetracks. And, depending on how the race goes here, Andrew, I think we can be even more exciting for what's to come.
Yeah, a lot of great racetracks on this list. Interlagos checking in, Suzuka, Spa, Brands Hatch, Daytona. Really, some of the highlights across the entire world. I don't think you could ask for too much more diversity than that. But let's go ahead and talk about our race field, our starting grid for round 2 here at Virginia International Raceway. On pole, Blake Scott for the second, no, actually, this is not the second week in a row. He flips positions with Aubrey Kundle, rather, who started on pole last week at Road America in the amateur class. But those two, once again, up front, the top of the AM class, once again. Starting third, you'll find Karim Hussein in car 702, Zachariah Rosar. It's been a while since we've seen him. He will start from 4th position in car 101. And starting 5th, Milan Harris in one of the few Porsches in the field. Mike Braun in one of the few Mercedes. He'll start 6th. Starting 7th, it's an Audi. Mark Scott alongside John Kroom, also in an Audi this evening from Rockefeller Racing. To round out your top 10, though, JP, Kenneth Michael in the number 19 Audi and Kyle Petit in the number 90.
Starting off in 11th place, we're going to have Matthew O'Leary in the 4th place on the championship standings, and Mario Miranda actually the 3rd place on the championship standings. So a nice, good battle for position right there. Sonny Brown in the 115 is going to line up in 13th ahead of Brent Kenkott in 14th place. Starting off row number 8, we're going to have on the inside lane Logan Boone in the number 33 and the number 12 of Brian Long on his outside. Row number 9, we're going to have Bradley Alves in the 296 and the 164 of T. Anderson in 18th place. Finally, Andrew, row number 10, we're going to have Sully Sad in the 079 and the 06 of Ilya Speaker in 20th place.
Starting 21st, Dominic Turcotte in that yellow and white Mercedes. Alongside will be J.R. Gregory in his number 218 Porsche this evening. Starting 23rd, Michael Pusick in position 23 in car 45. And David Stevenson, who won here last GT3 season, he will start from 24th. Philip Durka will start 25th today in car 70 in his Lamborghini. It's Nicholas Sykes in a Lambo as well. And from 26th, starting 27th, Brian Wirtz in car 82. 28th is Bill Pasek. And to round out your top 30, JP, Thomas Baker and Joe Nagy.
Starting off from 31st place, we're going to have Ricardo Delgado in the number 3 and Matt Scherf in the number 43, lining up in 32nd place. 33rd, we're going to have Scott Angel in the number 68 and the number 87 of Avon Dorsey in 34th place. Andrew, 35th place, we're going to have Joshua Lyon, the number 24, and the number 54 of Robert Gambill, lining up in 36th place. 37th, we're going to have William Valdez in the number 28, and the 930 of Chad Dix going to line up in 38th place. Finally, row number 20, we're going to have Adam Ballard in the number 29, and the 010 of Jeff Castillo is going to line up in 40th place.
And to the back of the field, the final 11 cars. Dan Gottlieb in car 73. Armando Bejaran in position 42 from car 05. Starting 43rd, rather, you'll find Stephen Finch in car 227 amongst the slideshow of 51 cars. Yeah, it gets pretty intense on the frames. Sean Patterson will start 44th position. Starting 45th, it's Corey Groves. 46th, that's Michael Reback. 47th starting position, that goes to Kerry Corcoran of the number 8 Porsche. Aaron Beaver, though, will start from 48th. The final 3 cars, it's Dominic Angelichio. Dean Kerr will start from 50th, and 51st starting position, Robert Guadagnoli will start from 51st in car 64 this evening at VIR. And JP, 51 cars, that's a large field. How about the weather they've got to deal with? 71.8 degrees in the air, 73 on track. It's not that warm of a day. Pretty perfect, honestly, in Alton, Virginia.
Yeah, absolutely. I think drivers will not be able to complain about anything injured. The driver excuses are maybe running out. Obviously, having a brand new tire model will affect some of those excuses. And you can see there the wind gusts slowing down all the way to 2 miles an hour. So very calm winds as well.
The calm day for the first race on the day. Of course, as per usual, we have the amateur race now. That's 40 minutes of racing, and then the pro race here just afterwards. That'll be 50 minutes of racing for the pros and pro-ams. Blake Scott, your pole sitter this evening, alongside Aubrey Kundle. 51 cars. It's a lot here at JP at VIR, but we're going to turn them loose and let them go racing from Alton, Virginia, waiting on the green flag signal. And green flag is out. Blake Scott is off and away. Let's go racing. Through NASCAR Bend. And up to left hook, Blake Scott, he's got a big lead. Aubrey Kundle slides into third now as Karim Hussein takes second, and we've got a crash. Dominic Turcotte in the yellow Mercedes goes sideways through NASCAR Bend, but he gets back on track. There's one more car that's a Lamborghini broadside, enters the racetrack in a bad rejoin attempt and gets collected, but everybody else continues on as one car goes off. That's Milan Harris in the number 69 Porsche, now dropping.
Yeah, looks like that's just on turn 6, maybe. You can see he's trying to rejoin Andrew. It's such a fast part of the circuit as well. He's going to have a bit of difficulty. It looks like we didn't have any car parts parked on the racetrack.
Whoa!
As one
That's Kenneth Michael on the number 19.
Goes drifting across our cameras, Andrew, and looks like he might be okay. As the rest of the field, you can see there as one more car just before Oak Tree, looks like takes back to the pit lane. So a hectic start.
It was actually Kenneth Michael in the Audi that was on the outside of Oak Tree. It was J.R. Gregory in the Porsche that we saw as the leaders are into roller coaster now. There's Blake Scott out front of the entire field, now dropping out of frame, and just look at everybody go on by through roller coaster for the first time.
because that's such a beautiful view, Andrew. Seeing this many cars going around roller coaster, this is just absolutely amazing, up and down. And looks like everybody's kind of into single file now. Looks like the opportunities to take a position early on have seized, and you can see there Blake Scott leads Hussein. Andrew takes second place over from Aubrey Kundal.
I just love watching cars race at VIR, letting the entire field come on through here. It is something special. We're still waiting on cars to wrap up their first lap. We're only through the top 30. We still got 20 cars to go. They just keep on coming. Cue Smash Mouth. They just keep on coming, and they keep on coming, and they keep on coming as we wrap up lap 1. Mark Scott, though, he's got issues in the Scott Racing Audi. He pulls back on track and gets collected by somebody there. I'm unsure who. That might have been Pusick in the 45. Guess it was in that Lamborghini, as Mark Scott is still way off track in some kind of off-roading endeavor. And big problems for him. But up front, Blake Scott having no issues of his own. Karim Hussein in second. Aubrey Kundal dropping back a little bit now in third position. Zach Rosar in the fourth spot. And William Valdez, it looks like, has an issue on the second lap as well.
I think Nicholas Skies also has trouble. I'm seeing his name absolutely dropping, Andrew. So maybe yet early trouble for these guys. We know how difficult this racetrack is. So not really surprising some drivers struggling. But meanwhile, you can see this a nice little battle in the front of the field, Andrew. Mario Miranda currently our third place in the championship. So he definitely wants to keep the streak going, keep maybe moving forward on the championship. And you can see there being slightly aggressive, just showing the driver ahead that, well, I'm here, Sonny Brown, I can take your position. Keep looking in your mirrors.
Right here working on the 115. He's got a big gap to Kyle Patty behind for 10th. And that's now 2 laps complete here at VIR. They tick them off one by one. Well, 146.020 for Blake Scott. Purple that time by as one car exits the pit lane, and that is a difficult pit exit as Milan Harris stays as far to the right as he possibly can, but the entire field coming by on his left side. And actually now he finds a pocket to join in just ahead of one of his teammates from Rockefeller Racing, so not such a bad deal there for him. As Sonny Brown actually gets passed up here by Mario Miranda through NASCAR Bend, so change spots there. Miranda up to 8th.
Exactly what he needs if he wants a shot to keep his third place, Andrew. You can see there one BMW back to the pit lane. Looks like just reversed, so maybe just slid on back. Took a fast repair. Looks like the number 54 of Gamble, and he's back on racing course. And yeah, unfortunately, a few drivers, Andrew, having to take repairs already on the first and second lap. Unfortunate to see. You can see there one Audi of Stevenson as well. Looks like he's parked for a long time, so I think that was a tow.
Yeah, David Stevenson did have to take a tow after lap 1, it looks like. So problems for the defending winner here in the amateur class at VIR. Unfortunately, he will not be able to defend that win for much longer. Milan Harris in the 49th position is the next car up the road, as of the 51 drivers who made the race, only 50 started. So one driver did not make the start at all. Milan Harris now 49th. Kenneth Michael is 48th spot in his number 19 Audi as he works out of Hog Pen into the start-finish line to wrap up lap 2 for himself. Here's Dominic Turcotte, who after issues in NASCAR Bend on lap 1 is 47th position, but he is on the lead lap.
That's the light of hope, Andrew. Being on the lead lap, even though you're 47th, you can still get a few positions. Obviously, drivers are still going to make mistakes. People are still going to go side by side. So at this point, you just need to keep your nose clean and maybe just pick off positions one by one.
He's behind Robert Gambill and Scott Angelo, as well as Dominic Angelicchio. And while we have this moment at the start of today's race, let's talk about Dominic Angelicchio a little bit. I was talking with him this week leading into this event, and it turns out that he, I think he's told me this before, but he has hand controls on his wheel, actually, JV. He does not drive with his feet. He actually deals with multiple sclerosis, and he's one of the more unique drivers I've ever met on iRacing, for sure. And, obviously, hand controls have become, I think, more of a mainstream thing with the likes of Robert Wickens getting back behind the wheel, as well as Zanardi finally getting back racing. But it's not usually seen in iRacing, even though usually manufacturers and teams can use the sim to actually prove the concepts for these hand controls for guys like Robert Wickens and Alex Zanardi. But this is really cool. Dominic Angelichio, again, like I said, deals with multiple sclerosis daily, but keeps sim racing. Does not let that hold him back for the wrong stuff racing. And it's so cool to be able to showcase drivers like this who fight even a few more adversities than the rest of us on sim racing and look good doing it.
Absolutely. And after you mentioned that, I mean, even you, before you knew that, could you tell there was anything different by the way he drove? I mean, I think he put so much practice in it, Andrew, that it doesn't even look like it. You can see he's not struggling with braking. He's not struggling with under acceleration. He's just doing everything perfectly. I guess that just shows the amount of dedication and practice that you have to put to overcome those difficulties, as you mentioned. So hats off to the number 112. And I mean, he's doing a fantastic job.
Now, what we were talking about, Dominic, there was an issue for Sean Patterson in the number 56 Mercedes. The car looks okay, though. He continues on as we've got a battle for 26th ahead of these guys. Kerry Corcoran, William Valdez, as they work through Roller Coaster. Dan Gottlieb has a mirror full of Matt Scherf here. This is for 28th and 29th positions. Michael Reback there for 30th. Deep in the field.
But you can see that nice battle. We're going to have a side-by-side down into turn number 1, Andrew. Ferrari versus Audi. And you can see right behind we might see a move as well between another Ferrari and another Audi. Looks like this time by, is it settled?
Valdez!
Drivers deep on the brakes. Can he get it slowed down? Yes, he can. Do they make contact? Nothing. No contact whatsoever, Andrew. It's so easy to overshoot turn 1. And you can see right there, battle is done and dusted, but very clean. That's exactly what we want to see early on.
That was William Valdez in the great Audi that made that big attempt in turn 1. And look at this happening behind these guys. That was Adam Ballard in the number 29 defending over Jeff Castillo in the number 010. So Castillo with the light blue on his fenders making a move on Ballard. It didn't work out. He'll have to wait a couple of more corners as these guys lead Joe Nagy and Aaron Beaver through the course. Sean Patterson back here as well. And again, these guys down around the 30th position and deeper. So, I mean, there's great racing throughout the entire field here. And Dominic Angelichio, oh no. Problems for the driver who was 42nd, now 45th as he gets back onto the course. And will pick right back up where he left off in the 45th spot. Castillo Ballard, they're side by side through Oak Tree. Castillo takes that spot. That's good for 31st. Up ahead of these guys, Avon Dorsey and Mark Scott. They're battling.
Oh, there you go. That's nice to see. Mark obviously had a bit of trouble early on in the race. We saw his name unfortunately dropping down the order. Avon Dorsey, meanwhile, Andrew, he started 34th, and he's currently in 23rd position. So he did a fantastic start. It looks like he's not done taking positions. You can see that right there, pressuring Scott up ahead. And I feel like with the momentum that he's currently showing, I feel like he might have this position on the upcoming few laps. Even if it's not turn 1 right here, could he go down the inside? I think he's just too far back this lap.
Watching here from the drones in turn 1, also known as Horseshoe Bend. They're chasing Bill Pasek and Ricardo Delgado in the 20th spot. So they're battling. Mark Scott and Avon Dorsey here on screen are battling for 22nd and 23rd positions respectively. Just about 10 minutes complete in the amateur race, the first race of the evening. Blake Scott, your race leader, he started on pole. Karim Hussein second, Aubrey Kundal third. And let's revisit some of the guys in the top 10, JB. How about Zachariah Rosar and Matthew O'Leary? Very close here. This is the battle for 5th.
It's a good little battle, Andrew, and we might see if anything on the strategy is different. We saw plenty of races around here that obviously came decided on the pit stops. Looks like these guys are still nose to tail. I'm not quite sure if they're fuel saving, but you can see right there, Matthew O'Leary currently leading Zachariah Roser as they head into roller coaster. And this is the part, Andrew, where you get into so much pressure. You cannot make a single mistake because, as you can see, after the pavement is over, it's just dirt and grass, and that's really slippery. We saw plenty of mistakes before, and you can see right there, Matthew O'Leary currently keeping it on the racing course to keep himself in 5th place.
Down the front stretch, this triplet will go 4th, 5th, and 6th. Mario Miranda, meanwhile, is gaining on John Kroon. You can see that in the background. Miranda weaving a little bit into turn 1, but no attempt. And this really is the heart of your top 10. This is the heart of your front runners, JP. Just trying to ride and get through some of this race. And, you know, we talk about possibilities of different strategies. Are we going to see it? That's the question. We're going to learn a lot in this first race, even next week as well at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. We're going to learn a lot about the way these GT3 cars are now going to race on iRacing. This is actually a pretty important broadcast, a pretty important race in general, where we're going to learn a lot about GT3 on iRacing for a long time in this race alone. We're going to learn really how these cars are going to handle in 1 hour races, if these tires will actually last the full stint, and whether or not iRacing maybe needs to make more adjustments to the class or not. So a lot being learned here today. And of course, somebody who helped iRacing get these cars as they are, Daniel Morad, who has his hand in a lot of teams, a lot of cars in this league, of course, with Team Moradness dominating last week in Pro-Am at Road America. So a lot on the line for this GT3 category now in iRacing, and we're going to learn a lot of how this class is going to operate, how this class is going to react to tires, and what the strategy move will be in this race alone.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously not only us, Andrew, the drivers as well, obviously they have put hours and hours into practice, but sometimes, you just get into the race and, the car reacts in a completely different way. The tire reacts and fades in a completely different way. So this is going to be a good learning curve for them as well, seeing how the tires react, how their driving styles react over 1 hour. And it looks like I think we might see a move for position, Andrew. Not only Mario Miranda, but just ahead Matthew O'Leary and Mike Braun as well. They're very close. So down into turn 1, we have plenty of moves to keep an eye out for, because the top 5 is really busy, and Matthew O'Leary just found a gap on the outside. Unfortunately, he wasn't alongside enough to force a move right there on Mike Braun, but he certainly gave it a shot, as we have unfortunately one BMW park. Is that Brent Kincott?
It is Brian Long, actually, at the number 12 for the Wrong Stuff Racing. An early stop here. This might be a clue as to what we're going to see this season. Here we go. 16.32 seconds. I think that's just an early stop to try and get the pit early and get back on track. I think this is fitting into his strategy.
Could be. Obviously, it's difficult to overtake down in VIR, so if you think you can pit and come back in a pocket of air, that would be absolutely what you want. That's kind of what you want, Andrew. Just getting ahead of that Porsche. Now it looks like the number 12 has a nice little pocket of air, so he can hopefully push and obviously react as well. Did the tires cool down, Andrew? Is he going to lose a bit of performance? Those are all the questions that not only us, but they'll have to answer as well.
Meanwhile, back into the top 10, on board with Mario Miranda chasing John Kroom and Zach Rosar. A bit of a train growing from the 4th position down through 8th, 5 cars in total. As they work down the back straightaway, really up the back straightaway into Roller Coaster. Miranda peeks out a little bit. But just riding right now. A lot of racing left to go as Michael Busick has a problem. He is off out of Oak Tree, but rejoins the course, and looks like no real damage. Might have just gone for a spin. But we do also have the new damage model, so he could have bent a toe link.
Yeah, visually, nothing looks like it's too bad, Andrew, but you saw how easily that Porsche overtook him, so might be something wrong with the car. Obviously, as you mentioned, the new damage model could be new, anything wrong with that car. Meanwhile, look at this battle, 3 wide as we go into the first corner. 2 Audis,
3 wide as Rosar pushes Kroom off. And Miranda goes off.
Wow.
Oh, and rejoins right in front of a couple of drivers. Mario. Oh, man, that was really close. Kroom and Rosar are still off track. They'll rejoin now. Kroom in the 11th spot. Rosar will rejoin, it looks like, in 13th. No, make that 14th position. Mario Miranda at least hangs on to a top 10. He's 8th spot, but that allows Kyle Patti to go through in that Lamborghini that Mario nearly smashed back into. Thankfully, there was really just light contact. No big pieces of contact in that incident. But let's go back and get a replay of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we saw the 2 Audis going side by side, Andrew, and obviously the BMW of Mario just came in and unfortunately overshot the corner himself. So now the replay, we can see on board the number 199 exactly what happened. You can see there the straight line speed, the close-up speed that he had. They went 3 wide. He broke a bit early, but still went a bit wide, just carried way too much speed, and I don't think he made contact with either of them.
Yeah, Mario Miranda, no contact there, but he joins right back in front of Kyle Patti, who squeezes on by for the 7th position. That's just, you got to be a little more aware, I think, rejoining, but thankfully, no contact. A learning moment. That's what those are. Even when there is contact, it's always a learning moment and something you grow from, as this is the rest of the contact here. There was contact between these two. Rosar pushes Kroom off the track a little bit there. Maybe there wasn't contact. I think all 3 of them just missed the braking zone.
I think Kroom just took maybe a bit of an avoiding action, Andrew, and it was essentially pushed, just by avoiding Zachariah Rosa onto the grass. But yeah, I don't think there was any physical contact amongst them.
No, I think they all missed the braking zone simultaneously, as even Zach Rosar just barely nudged that car into the outside tire barrier. Glad that nobody had really any big damage out of that. Glad everybody continues on, as Rosar now sits in the 14th position, just ahead of Sully Sada behind Ilya Speaker. And Mario, he's still in a great spot. He's still going to fight in this top 10 as he rides in 8th. Now his teammate, meanwhile, is battling with Mark Scott as he takes the spot over Mark Scott for 19th position. Brian Wirtz in car 82, and I was only recently keyed onto the fact that Mario has a teammate in this series. I don't know the relation, the friendship here, but teaming up with Brian Wirtz is definitely a great addition for Mario as he joins this series really for the first time and gets his footing set in this series. I know he ran a couple of races last season in the Porsche Cup series. I don't know if Brian Wirtz has any past starts, but it's good to see these two link up and each find a teammate.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, the more teammates you have, the more insight over the car you have, the more insight of the setup you have. And obviously, everywhere else, Andrew, with strategy setups, all that sort of stuff really helps. Meanwhile, we can see this battle still evolving. Is that Mario?
It is. He just made a pass for 7th, right back over Kyle Petty.
There you go, and that BMW, Andrew, let me tell you, looks like it has some serious straight line speed. You just saw him obviously overtaking Petit for 7th place, but even before the contact that they had, the overshot, you just saw the closing speed of that BMW is really strong. Meanwhile, looks like, is this Aubrey Kondo? Yeah, looks like Aubrey's coming down to the pit lane, Andrew, and this is the first time the leaders come down into pit lane.
Yeah, so this is definitely a strategy move here for Aubrey Kondo, right into the box. Does he take tires, or is this fuel only? The jacks are not deployed. This is a fuel only stop as Sonny Brown loses a position now to Mario Miranda. He had a bad roller coaster, and Brown now loses 5th position rather to Miranda, and Kundal will work back on the track after 14.25 seconds in the box. Here's Mark Scott. Will he take tires?
Well, Andrew, we had halfway. No. Yeah, no. So it looks like no one is taking tires. We went 19 minutes, racing so far. So it looks like the tires are holding on quite well to these guys. And I don't think anyone who's pitting early is going to take tires. Maybe those that injured that stretch all the way to the final, milliliters of fuel, they might try something. But with 20 minutes to go, do you gamble on new tires?
I think at some point somebody has to try new tires. You got to try taking tires. Maybe not in this amateur race. I thought we might see more tires taken in the amateur race to try something here, especially guys that are back around the 10th, 12th, maybe even 15th position, but we're really not seeing anything. I don't think anybody's taken tires yet unless they pitted and accidentally did from the start of the races. Here we go. This is side by side for 3rd. Mike Braun, Matthew O'Leary. Braun on the Empire Racing Mercedes over O'Leary in the Maradnes Audi, and Braun hangs on.
So far, the Mercedes, Andrew, has been able to hold position. Looks like O'Leary, though, has a bit more pace in this stage. They've been running nose to tail for the past 10-15 minutes as we've been watching. But looks like O'Leary right now is in that point where, well, I'm going to pit soon, so might as well take this position, burn a little bit extra, and see how you fend off this pressure. And it looks like so far, Mike Braun has been holding that pressure, just soaking it in, and just driving his own race and defending when he needs to.
More pitters this lap. Here's Mario Miranda into the box. John Kroom will join him. Actually, no, John Kroom does not join him. There was one other car. Zach Rosar will join him in the pit lane, but Miranda in the box as Rosar goes on by, or was that Kroom? I don't know. We've got a lot of pit stops. Miranda, 13 seconds in the box, but no tires.
I think, Andrew, they'll only take tires if it matches the fuel stop. If it takes like 5-6 seconds longer, I don't think
Rosar's taking tires.
Oh, I just ate my words. Zachariah Rosa, the 101. You can see right there, Andrew, 17, 18, 19 seconds. Going to come out of the box. 21. So 9 seconds, 8 seconds longer than Mario Miranda. But it might pay off at the end of the race.
But Mario's had the fastest stop of them all. So if we compare that to about the average right now, it's about a 7-second difference. This might not work in the amateur races. We might be just a little bit too short. But I think that 7-second difference, if you have pace that you gain out of that, you could use that. You could make up that 7 seconds on the track, I think, if you're confident in your car. So while this might not work for the amateur race being 10 minutes shorter, that extra 10 minutes for the pro guys, it might be worth it.
I think if this was a 60-minute race, Andrew, I think we would see everybody on the jacks. Maybe we would see the opposite. Some drivers gambling on not taking tires, but in this case, the gamble is to get the car up on the jacks, get 4 new tires in, and see how they react. Essentially, Andrew, he can just push till the end of the race. He can thrash those tires all the way he wants, and you can see it right there. Looks like Mike Braun now is into the pit lane. And you can see right there, he's going to come up to the pit stall. And will he take tires in that Mercedes? Looks like he won looks like one Porsche is really out of reach. Andrew, can he safely rejoin the tarmac? And yes, he can.
And as that was Sonny Brown out there in the grass. No tires here for Mike Braun. How about Logan Boone potentially in car 33? There he is. I think no tires for him. And we're trying to get, we were trying to get a picture there of Ilya Speaker as well in his Lamborghini. I don't think there were any tires taken for Ilya, as that time was a 14-8. You could also try taking 2 tires. At least I think you can. iRacing might have changed that, so you can take 4 tires now in GT cars. But that is also a possibility. These guys could try taking just 2 tires if one side is wearing out more than the other. I don't know. I just think we're going to learn a lot this week about what possibilities actually open up here in GT3 racing as a result of this new update. But up front, it is all Blake Scott, a clean race, and we really have not talked about him at all, aside from in qualifying and the start of this race initially. But he's had a very clean race. He's led every single lap. He's got a 2.4, 2.5 second gap. It's smooth sailing for car 367.
Yeah, looks like a smooth operation so far, Andrew. The number 367 just controlling the pace. He opened that gap 2.5, 2.6 early on in the race, and he's just been controlling. Now he comes down into pit lane. The question is, will the 702, the number 18, and the rest of the field follow him suit? And you can see right there, 702 takes over the lead. So looks like Blake Scott might not be able to, won't be able to lead every single lap and do a clean sweep today, Andrew. But the question is, how long will his pit stop be? Will he take any tires? Well, the answer to the second question is no. So now it just remains, how long will it be?
We'll see what Kyle Petit does in his Lamborghini. Blake Scott, though, it's going to be a throttle up here in 14.75 seconds in the box. For Petit, though, in the Lamborghini, no tires as well for the Rockefeller Racing number 90. How about Brent Kingcott?
No tires as well.
Brian Wirtz in the BMW, no tires. Brian Long goes on by. Ricardo Delgado, though, in car 3 is in, and he pulls away, no tires there.
So it looks like the real gamble is just taking tires. Obviously, we only have a few laps to go. Looks like 10 laps to go. Is that correct, Andrew?
Yes, actually, I didn't expect that to come up, but it does estimate 10 laps to go. We'll have to change that for the next race. I kind of forgot we put that one on for the oval racing we had this week, so we'll change that for the pro race. But yeah, you see estimated 10 laps to go. The timer says 15 minutes, 30 seconds. As we continue on, Armando Bejeron, problems in the back. Actually, no, he just leaves pit lane, so no problems for him as he works back onto the speedway.
And just rejoins back in turn 1. Looks like he has a nice healthy gap up in the front, and obviously behind him looks like we have one Audi going really wide just on the back straightaway, Andrew. I think that's the worst pace possible to go off track, and unfortunately that's Anderson in the 164 Audi, as he's going to be losing a whole lot of time getting that car back up into speed. But luckily for him, I don't see any visual damage.
Well, there's a little bit of visual damage on the left side of the car, maybe even the right side. The right looks okay. There's definitely a little bit of damage there on the left door of that machine. But not too bad. And, the damage model being updated as well, it's going to change how these cars react with damage. As here's Karim Hussein in the pit lane. No tires there. He pulls away. And that is a 13.97 second stop. Matthew O'Leary a little bit longer in the box, 15.75, as Blake Scott retakes the race lead. Here's Alvis.
Obviously, you can see Anderson as well just coming back, and now I see that damage, Andrew. And
oh, T. Charles Anderson just got sideswiped. He missed his box and reverses back now.
Doing a little bit of parallel parking. But yeah, looks like the 164 gets into his pit box. Looks like he couldn't see as we have one car up in the jacks. That's Sonny Brown. Yes, it is. And looks like he's going to be another driver to gamble with around 9 laps to go, Andrew. It's going to be straight up qualifying laps for him, isn't it?
Oh, and Mario, this is his second stop, isn't it? This is him coming back in. This is big, and that's for a fast repair. He will leave the pit lane now, and Mario Miranda dropping out of the top 20 nearly. He's 19th position. Oh, man, that is tragedy for the 199.
Oh yeah, that is very, very unfortunate to see, Andrew. He was nearly in the top 5, I'd say, before obviously the incident. And unfortunately, right now you can see just how that race unfolded. Unfortunate for him. He still has 9 laps to go to get as many positions as he can, but still, it's going to be a long way, a long battle for him. And you can see right here, Mike Brown lost a position to Matthew O'Leary up ahead, Andrew. So he's definitely going to be trying to retake that final podium position.
Cars out of this race are Robert Gambill and Dominic Angelicchio and Robert Guadagnoli. Philip Bedurka into the pit lane for the first time. Or on board, as you mentioned, is Adam Ballard has a problem in the 29 car. He is way off track. This is outside of turn 1.
Oh yeah, unfortunately for him, it looks like maybe just overshot turn number 1. He's going to be safely rejoining though. As we rejoin this battle right here for third place, Angel Mike Braun, a Mercedes versus an Audi, so this is a very German battle. Meanwhile, you can see there Blake Scott takes the fast lap of the race, 3.2 second currently the gap, Andrew. And just to remind you, Hussein's pit stop was almost a whole second quicker, so Blake Scott definitely on his out lap and in lap definitely made some good time right there.
Okay, here's Karim Hussein working through left hook now and into turn number 5, kind of the bottom end of the circuit. 3.3 seconds behind Blake Scott currently as the sun continues to get higher in the sky. On board of the SimCity racing machine of Karim Hussein as he works now into the upper S's. There's some lap traffic ahead, it looks like. Blake Scott up there as well. A dab of brake into the south bend, and they'll work on up to Oak Tree, and such a special corner in racing. Of course, Oak Tree no longer there, unfortunately, the tree itself, the oak tree that the corner is named for, but hopefully is preserved in iRacing for years to come. Hopefully that does not change, and even if iRacing's new scan of VIR, which is on the way this season, hopefully it's left in, or even if it's taken out, hopefully the legacy version that we currently have here, hopefully this version is immortalized, because I think most leagues, most drivers would want to run on the version with Oak Tree.
Yeah, it's such a historic part of this racetrack, isn't it, Andrew? Unfortunately, I couldn't go to VIR before it was taken down, but, you know, hopefully in the future it will regrow in some way, shape, or form, but it's still nice to have it on the sim, you know, having that historic tree around there. It's certainly nice. Meanwhile, we rejoin this battle. Looks like this is for 10th place, if I'm not mistaken, and for 9th and maybe 8th place right here. It's a really good battle, Andrew. 3 cars within a second, and you can see there the number 199 of Mario Miranda still trying to get back some positions. Looks like he's currently in 17th place. Luckily, those LEDs do help us a little bit, and yeah, rejoining this battle right here, Andrew. 3 cars within a second. This is nice to see.
Yeah, Miranda had a problem. He was down inside of 20 miles per hour, which is why we checked on him for a moment, but he continues on with no damage. Must have just got on track for a moment. This is John Kroom, 10th spot, chasing Kyle Petit in 9th and Bradley Alvis in 8th. All on top of each other with just 7 laps to go here at Virginia International Raceway. And I think that number is going to change, JP. I don't think we want to put too much stock in it. This is 2 minutes per lap thereabouts. We have 10 minutes to go. That's about 6 laps, maybe a 7th. So we might still get 7 laps, but I think it's really about 6 laps to go.
Yeah, drivers that obviously won the race in sooner. Maybe Blake Scott, he wants, you know, the fewer lap possible, Andrew, but John Kroom currently seeing 2 cars ahead of him, possibly seeing an 8th place finish. He definitely wants as many laps as possible to try and retake this. And you can see, Andrew, this is my favorite part of the circuit. The confidence and obviously the skill and practice you need to have to take this almost flat out is just unbelievable for me.
And a beautiful shot here from the drone through Oak Tree. You can really see everybody taking different lines through that double apex corner. And onto the back straightaway is a problem for Sully Sad. He's way out in the grass outside of Oak Tree. Loses a lot of spots. Drops down to 12th, maybe even 13th, as Brent Kingcott's going to have a run.
Yeah, maybe Andrew by the end of the straightaway, that speed difference will come alive and will be, obviously it is there, but you can see maybe it's just a bit too far out on this lap. Meanwhile, the pressure is still on Matthew O'Leary. Is that Aubrey Kendall, Andrew, chasing them down? And I think it is. So Aubrey, obviously, it was in third place before the pit stops, wasn't he?
I think he was well, he might have been third. I think he was already behind these two after the first lap kind of went down, but Aubrey kind of running back up to O'Leary and Braun, as O'Leary was a bit wide there in turn one. And they work on through NASCAR bend and left hook. Yeah, Kendall on that Lamborghini, I think he's got the better car of these three, and should be able to at least pressure them and pass one, if not both of them.
Yeah, should definitely be the case, Andrew. And if you're Mike Braun and you see that Aubrey maybe has that pace, do you just allow him by and try, to follow the wave to pass O'Leary? Obviously, at the end of the day, you would just be retaining fourth place, so I don't think that would be a valid strategy. But still, Andrew, sometimes you need to do what it takes just to get ahead of the car. But I don't know what this case is going to be, Andrew, for all of them. 5 laps to go. I think it's going to be each on its own. It's going to be a nice little battle to follow.
And Mike Braun was a big part of the amateur battle at VIR last season, earlier this year. Unfortunately, while he is still a big part of it, he's not in the conversation for the win like he was in the spring. Totally sad. Problems. He's around again. And this is out of the upper S's. Oh, not across the track. Here come a couple of cars. He goes back off track, allows T. Charles Anderson to go by, and Sully's going to go right back off the track out of South Bend. Oh, man, this is big.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, Andrew. We're kind of seeing the new Porsche Safari on action, unfortunately taking a bit of the excursion around here. And you can see just how much he's struggling on the on those tires. Maybe they're dirty, full of grass, and you can see they're just absolutely no grip. And unfortunately, it looks like Sully is going to be taking, just a long way home. Still in 19th place, Andrew. So, if he can just keep it on the circuit, he might come home with a top 20 finish.
Well, what's tough is Sully was up around the 12th position, maybe even 10th when this initially happened. After starting 19th, that's an amazing day, but now he's 21st. He's behind where he started this race, so a really, really terrible string of events the last couple of laps for Sully Sad as he drops to 21st spot. There's a battle outside of the top 20. It's actually Brian Wirtz has a problem. Mario Miranda's teammate. This is in Oak Tree, it looks like.
And that was a big hit to the tire barrier. You can see visually the damage already.
I don't know where this is. I think it's Oak Tree. No, that's out of turn one. I don't know how he's ended up over there, and he's going to come to a stop and tow. I don't know how he ended up over there, but that takes a bit of special skills.
Yeah, or maybe even help with someone else.
We'll get a look at it here. Brian Wirtz in car 82 was mostly on his own, but not entirely on his own. So we'll see if maybe he gets hit by the Ferrari that's behind him here. It's number 3. But no, he catches the grass under braking and just on for a ride. Wow. Oh,
that's a big hit.
That's the first test of the new damage model for us here.
And I think that's the first time we saw someone catching the grass. I remember last time we were here, I think it was the Porsche Cup, wasn't it, Andrew? And I remember, just recall seeing a lot of people catching that grass. And unfortunately for Brian, looks like he was the first victim on tonight's race.
Here's Brian Wirtz on board. Started 27th, was as high as 15th, and then this happens. Wow. Big trouble there. We've got a battle, though, for 6th position when we come back live. Logan Boone and Brian Long, they've just switched positions, and Logan Boone would like to switch it back.
Yeah, definitely only a handful of laps to go. Andrew, time is running out to essentially retake those positions, as you mentioned, or obviously take them on the final stretch. So we're going to see what this Ferrari can do against the BMW up ahead. A nice little battle at the end stretch of this race, and what a race it has been, Andrew. I'm just really surprised the quality of driving, and obviously the new cars and new tires they've thrown, I think, a spanner in the mix, and I'm definitely glad they did.
Yeah, this was definitely, I think, a needed update for iRacing. A lot of drivers are going to take a while to get used to it, for sure, but that's kind of the case no matter what you do to race cars on the iRacing.com service. If you change something, drivers are going to kind of rebel a little bit. They're going to let you know their opinions, but then they'll get used to it. And by the time you go to change it again, they're going to want you not to change it from that. So it's kind of just how it works here on iRacing. But I'm glad that we've got it. I think it's going to increase parity in this GT3 class, as we've seen as problems for Zach Rosar. He has to come back to the pit lane. He was one of the lone drivers up front, if you recall, JP, that took tires on his initial stop, but he has to come back in after starting 4th position and running as high as 4th. He is now 29th.
No, that's just a really unfortunate end to his race, Andrew. Really unfortunate. It looks like, is that Mario?
It is. Big problems for the Mario Miranda Motorsports team here. As it looks like this might be into Oak Tree for Mario. Battling. Oh, wow. Whoa. I'm not sure who that was with. I think that was Sonny Brown.
Yeah, maybe that was the white Porsche, wasn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it was. This was then... If that's with Sonny Brown... I'm trying to figure out where this would have been for position. I'm not sure where Sonny is now, but you see the same angle there, and then... Just kapow! I mean, huge hit.
Oh, and he was just lucky to clear the racetrack before that other car passed him, wasn't he?
Let's get the onboard here. Mario is going to have a big run. This is through the upper S's. They get hung up behind a slower Lamborghini, it looks like. And you really don't have to break through all of this. And the Lambo lifts, the Porsche brakes, and the Porsche hits Mario off. And wow.
Oh, yeah, really unfortunate. He saw the gap, tried to go for it. You can see the Porsche just, I think he just clipped the curb and unfortunately threw the car a bit more to the outside and obviously hit Mario. And then at that point, Andrew, he just had nothing to do. He was just a passenger.
Here's race leader Blake Scott. Just over 2 minutes to go. And he'll go by Thomas Baker in a slow Mercedes. And this will be the 2-lap to go mark, JP. We will get all 23 expected laps in here tonight. 2 laps to go for Blake Scott underneath the flag stand.
And what a race, Andrew. I think he led every single lap but 1 or 2, which is really good. It took pole, has the fastest lap of the race, and it has just been controlling. On this second stint, he's been much faster. Just as I mentioned that. There you go, Matthew O'Leary. Thank you. Now we know what the fastest lap of the race is, a 1:45.766. And, well, Matthew currently has the pace, so I think, Andrew, setting the fast lap of the race while you're being chased by a Mercedes, I think kind of reassures you that you're doing something right.
You know what else it tells us? His pit stop, he did not take tires. And if he's setting his fastest lap now, that means these tires can still get better over the course of a run. We weren't sure of that. You know, that was the case with the previous tire model, so it looks like tires are not the way to go yet.
Yeah, maybe not. You're right. Obviously, you know, it's still a 40-minute race. I think these cars are limited to 75% of fuel load, maybe 50% of fuel load.
So that's actually a great point. These setups actually, they're based on the iRacing.com fixed GT3 setup, which initially they could change the fuel load to be 50%, or it was already 50%. That is changed as Kyle Petit bins it in the lower S's. It's a lot of damage to that Lamborghini. He'll rejoin. And he is in 10th, now make that 11th as his teammate passes him. And there goes Brent Kingcott as well for another position. Actually, no, that was a lapped car, it looks like, as Avon Dorsey also has a problem. But the point being here, Mike Braun, problems. Hang on.
Oh, no.
And Mike Braun is done for the day in the closing moments here at VIR. But going back to what we were talking about, oh, shoot. The fuel load for these cars, it is now 45%. That is per the fixed setup on iRacing. Now a 45% fuel load. So NARL has pivoted with this, as you can see, Mike Braun's issues into Oak Tree. The fuel limit used to be 50%. You would start with 50%. You could put 50% back in. Now you start with 45%, and you can add 55%. So that's how we still get to the same number of you can add a total of 100% fuel throughout the course of a race. And that's actually a great question for you to ask, JP, as we see the white flag is out, presented by Whiplash Media SimCams. And Blake Scott has some lap traffic, but he also has 7.5 seconds back to Karim Hussein.
So yeah, he's going to be taking this, I think, a bit easier. And you can see both lapped cars actually get out of the way, which is really good for him as well. So he has no headaches going through this fast S section. But even so, Andrew, I think even if we bring that point, just over the fuel load, if he can add up to 100%, even in a 40-minute stint, that's essentially what we're seeing here. We still saw Matthew O'Leary just, setting the fastest lap of the race on the final few laps. So I think that kind of, just shows that maybe these tires are still, going to be able to take a whole stint. Obviously, we're going to have better confirmation on the pro race, but so far, I mean, it seems like Blake Scott absolutely controlled it, so we can ask him at the end of the race.
Blake Scott into roller coaster for the final time today here at VIR. And just a few more corners between Blake and a second consecutive race win in the North American Racing League amateur class. And Blake Scott is going to power out of Hogpen. He is going to win 2 weeks in a row in the amateur race here in the North American Racing League.
And what a victory today was. Absolutely controlled. 8.2 seconds as they crossed the line. Absolutely amazing race. Hussein is going to come across the line now, I think. And he's going to be getting home in second place. An excellent race for him as well. Aubrey Kuhn looks like he overcame that 5th place battle entry to finish in 3rd. Matthew O'Leary is going to finish in 4th, 20 seconds. Then Brian Long, Boone, Alvis, Kroom, Speaker, and Petit are going to round off our top 10. What a race we just had.
They haven't all finished yet. Ilya Speaker will be the next one to the start-finish line in the 9th position. There's Ilya out of Hogpen. Kyle Petit now out of Hogpen as well. How about Brent Kingcott in the 11th spot? Ricardo Delgado in car 3. T. Charles Anderson in 13th spot. Michael Pusick in 14th over Sonny Brown and Mark Scott. And there's still a battle, actually, a couple of battles as Chad Dick goes off track in Oak Tree. Look at this gaggle of cars now. These are all for position. Avon Dorsey well up the road, then Chad Dick in 22nd, Joe Nagy 23rd, Matt Scherf 24th, and Zach Rosar 25th. They're all going to battle here.
Oh, it's going to be amazing heading into roller coaster, Andrew. Everybody's going to give you their best. Which Porsche is going to come out ahead? Maybe an Audi just behind. It looks like this battle might have just been decided right here, Andrew. The 930 you can see right there, just trying to challenge up ahead. Mistakes can still be made down into Hogpen, but I don't think they will. What a battle in the final lap.
And all of those positions being decided in the final moments here at Virginia International Raceway. Just when you think it might be over, it never is. Avon Dorsey 21st, then Joe Nagy, Chad Dick, Matt Scherf, and Zach Rosar as they come to the start-finish line. That is all cars across the start-finish. JP, let's go ahead and take a look at our unofficial race results today. Winning is Blake Scott in car 367. There we go. Blake Scott in car 367, leading 21 of 23 laps.
What a race for him, Andrew. The 702 of Kareem Hussein is going to finish in 2nd place ahead of Aubrey Kundal. The 653, the number 18 of Matthew O'Leary is going to end up finishing 4th place ahead of Brian Long. Logan Boone is going to finish in 6th place ahead of Bradley Alvis, John Kroom, and Ilya Speaker. And Kyle Petit, Andrew, the number 90, is going to finish in 10th place.
Finishing 11th, you will find Brent Kingcott in car 99. Ricardo Delgado finishes 12th. T. Charles Anderson there in the 13th position over Michael Pusick and Sonny Brown. And that battle we watched at the start... Actually, no, it's a different battle. Mark Scott actually recovers, only 1 minute behind his son in 16th position. Sully Sad there in 17th. Armando Bejaran 18th. Then Bill Pasek and Dominic Turcotte round out your top 20.
21st place goes the way of Avon Dorsey. Joe Nagy is going to finish in 22nd ahead of Chad Dick. Matt Scherf is going to finish in 24th ahead of Zachariah Roser. Mike Braun is going to finish in 26th ahead of Don Gottlieb. Kerry Corcoran is going to finish in 28th ahead of Adam Ballard. And 30th place Andrew goes the way of Scott Angelo.
Finishing 31st, you'll find car 42, Nicholas Sykes. Behind the wheel for Lamborghini, Aaron Beaver finishes 32nd. Thomas Baker 33rd. Corey Groves 34th. Over Joshua Lyon, Kenneth Michaels, Stephen Finch, Jeff Castillo, David Stevenson, and Sean Patterson in 40th position.
41st goes the way of Mario Miranda, Milan Harris, Brian Wirtz in 42nd and 43rd respectively, William Valdez in 44th ahead of J.R. Gregory in 45th, Philip Bederka in 46th ahead of Michael Reback, Robert Guadagnoli in 48th, Robert Gamble in 49th, Dominic Angelico Andrew in 50th place, and John Carr in 51st. I think he was a driver that you mentioned that did not take the star flag. He finished 51st place.
So Blake Scott walks away with today's race win at Virginia International Raceway. 2 historic American racing circuits, and he's conquered them both. let's bring in winner of today's race, driver 367, Blake. 2 weeks in a row, you're talking to me. That's a good thing.
It is a good thing. That was a fun race, an interesting one. A lot of lap traffic. These tires were definitely interesting, but overall, a great race. Had a lot of fun out there.
And of course, the whole talk of the town is the big GT3 update on Tuesday. It does change a lot of things, but one thing is consistent. You on top of the scoring pylon. What are these changes like? How are you guys pivoting?
The changes are... It's interesting that the tires take a few laps to actually warm up, break in order to get some actual pace into the car, which is a little different. In qualifying, it would usually be your first lap is your fastest lap, and they kind of fall off. But it's kind of reversed, and it makes the first few laps of the race pretty interesting as well.
Well, Blake, it works out pretty nicely. 21 laps led, and you go to victory lane for the second week in a row. The points lead is all yours, and man, I can't wait to see how this season goes. What are your thoughts going into CTMP next week, Mosport, with a points lead?
Just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm putting in the practice every week. This week especially with this new tire model, we didn't have very much time to get in these cars with the new updates, so I put in a lot of time the last couple days, and yeah, just plan on, keeping the practice up, getting myself out on track, and just turning laps. See how it goes. So far, so good.
Well, Blake, congratulations. We'll see you next week in Canada.
Thank you, guys.
Blake Scott wraps up a race win today here at VIR. And second place, it's another Audi, Karim Hussein from SimCity Racing.
So Kareem, a second place finish for you today. How was it on this essentially brand new car, I'd say?
Yeah, I actually have very little experience in the Audi. I just picked it up about 2 days ago and found it was working well for me with the new tire model. It just kind of fit my driving style, so I said, hey, let's run it. Felt good.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, second place finish, cannot go wrong with that. And I don't know you pretty well. I'm not sure if Andrew knows you, but talk to us a little bit about yourself.
So born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada. Been sim racing for probably about 10 years now. This is my first adventure racing with you guys in the league here, and it's been a ton of fun. Lots of motorsports experience in real life, racing different cars and doing a lot of instructing, but definitely working on getting quicker in the sim, and looking forward to having some more runs. Just joined the folks with SimCity Racing, and it's been a great team to be part of, and they've been helping me get faster.
How about that? And well, certainly you've been fast today, second place, and obviously you mentioned you just picked up the Audi. Obviously next week we're going to a very difficult track, Mosport. How do you practice for that?
Going to start dialing in this weekend. I'm sure our team's going to do a couple practices and try to figure out what kind of secrets we can find, especially with these new tires. The grip is definitely a little more peaky, so you got to be a little more careful. And I know the couple races I've had at Mosport, that track can be really unforgiving. So it's just going to be about keeping it clean and getting a lot of laps in before that.
Absolutely, Karine. Well, cannot wait to talk to you again, hopefully next week. And well, have a good one. Have a great practice session, and well done on your results.
Thank you, gentlemen. Really appreciate it. Have a great night.
Absolutely. So, Andrew, that was Kareem Hussein, second place finisher. Interesting to know, obviously, real life experience. I wonder, obviously, I missed out on asking that which cars he has, but hopefully he'll finish at the podium a few more times so we can ask him that question.
There you go, Karim Hussein and Blake Scott, your top two. Blake Scott winning. Aubrey Kundle will go third tonight. That will do it for the amateurs, but we've still got so much racing left to go here from Virginia International Raceway. Thanks so much to our partners thus far in the broadcast. Of course, Whiplash Media SimCams, SimRentMarket.com, and Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. And our partners here at the North American Racing League, sorry, that's an old graphic. Maradness, JS Consulting, and VRS. We'll see you in just a few moments for the Pro Race from VIR.
Are you struggling to keep up with the top drivers? Are you ready to get faster and more consistent? If so, it doesn't have to take as long as you might think. With the VRS competitive subscription, you'll have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything you need to analyze your driving and see exactly where you're losing time. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off your lap times. When it comes to your equipment holding you back, the powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the best drivers in the world, including Jordan Caruso, Tim Ryan, Jordi Lopez, and Oscar Piastri. It's no secret that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also the best value for money. So if you're looking to upgrade your wheelbase to direct drive and want highly adjustable, ultra-realistic pedals, VRS is your answer. You can get better, faster, and more consistent in less time and for less money. You owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. Just go to the URL or the button below and learn why the best use VRS. Are you struggling to keep up with the top drivers? Are you ready to get faster and more consistent? If so, it doesn't have to take as long as you might think. With the VRS competitive subscription, you'll have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything you need to analyze your driving and see exactly where you're losing time. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off your lap times. When it comes to your equipment holding you back, the powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the best drivers in the world, including Jordan Caruso, Tim Ryan, Jordi Lopez, and Oscar Piastri. It's no secret that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also the best value for money. So if you're looking to upgrade your wheelbase to direct drive and want highly adjustable, ultra-realistic pedals, VRS is your answer. You can get better, faster, and more consistent in less time and for less money. You owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. Just go to the URL or the button below and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome back to the virtual Virginia International Raceway. It's the virtual out in Virginia today for racing for the pros and pro-ams coming up now. I was going to say coming up next, but really coming up now for these guys. JP, one race down, one race to go. 40 minutes of racing down, 50 minutes of racing to go.
Absolutely, 10 minutes extra entry for these drivers to essentially tackle these new cars. Obviously, we expect, I think, a bit more, I guess, the drivers being a bit more comfortable in the car. I feel like they have put a bit more hours into this car, so we should see a little bit more spread out field. And hopefully, Andrew, we can see all of the cars, get through lap number one. We can see more drivers challenging for the lead. And obviously, those that were caught up in last week's incident, they're going to be eager to get some points today.
I like how you mentioned, see, all cars get through lap 1. JP, we had 48 cars in the incident on lap 1 last week at Road America. Qualifying has opened up, so we'll make this brief. Virginia International Raceway, it's a special place to race. You see the track map there. Get it, memorize it, take a picture of it, do something as we are racing on the full course today here at VIR. Let's quickly talk about point standings, though. Gustavo Ariel walks into today with a 52-point haul from last week, which is 2 points more than Juan Blanat. Toby Soriano enters today at third place, 5 points back. Then Ricardo Rico, Victor Miranda, and on down through your top 10. It is cool to see Paulo Godin now on the pro side as Mitchell Johnson opens up the season with a 1-point lead over Scott Kimbrough, 2 points over Christopher Hill, 4 over Diego Era, and 5 over Ryan Amon.
Yeah, really close championship, Andrew, so far. Obviously, only round number 1 went through, but we know, just one round in this, if you get a mistake, if you DNF, if you have a bad result, that can really cost you at the end of the season. So these drivers, let it be pro or pro-am, they have to be on top of their game, Andrew, to make sure they're consistent throughout the championship. And I do expect to see this table switching up for next round.
So that's your point standings coming into today. You see Purple Times now lighting up the board. Victor Miranda goes to the top in car 17, JP, as it looks like paints are taking a moment to load, so bear with us for that one, as it looks like trading paints is being a little bit difficult, but we'll get that fixed as soon as we can, and there we go. Well, no, that's not it, but we'll work with that as we can. We'll just use some onboards here for the time being, as Ricardo Rico sits in position 2 currently, only a half a tenth off a pole.
And I'm not quite sure if you spot what I saw, Andrew, but Victor Miranda set his fastest lap time and instantly came back to the pit. So using that old strategy, we're going to see if that works in the session. Looks like Bruno De Carmo is sticking with just keeping on the racetrack, letting the tires get up to temperature, up to pressure. That worked on the amateur side, and you can see just how much he's fighting the car, but getting that oak tree turn very smoothly indeed. You can see there Hunter McDaniel as well coming up to oak tree, taking a little bit more of a tighter line, but also getting it through safely. 3/10 of a second is his gap. Giuliano Romagnolo, Andrew, as well, 3/10 of a second. A very close field right here.
Matthew Dench enters today in a Lamborghini. Good to see the Lamborghinis out in force, but hopefully we get a little more variety up towards the front of the field here in coming races. I think as this update wears on drivers, we will see them start to find other cars that they like, as Sean Dickinson shows today in a Lamborghini. Scott Reister in a Lamborghini. Scott Kimbrough in an Audi. Julian Fernandez in position, sorry, I think you said Julian Fernandez, I think that's more correct, in position 11 currently in a Lamborghini. Mitchell Johnson, last week's Pro-Am winner, currently second in class right now in an Audi, as Scott Reister goes 7th quick, moving up the board. Here's Lucas Susan now into 13th. Christopher Hill, one of the top drivers at Road America last week in Pro-Am in his Porsche at the time, in a BMW this week in 16th spot. David Schwartz in 17th position in a Lamborghini. Justin Hall checking into the top 20 in a BMW. Blake Townend in the, things just completely changed because Manatee Racing driver Tim Matzke to the top of the board in an Audi.
Yeah, Tim Matzke, and you can see right there, Andrew, the number 99, Savendra. That's a new name, isn't it? I don't recall that from last week.
He was here last week, but I think he sat around the 10th position or so.
Oh, so that could be it. And Juan Blanat has all jumped to 3rd place. So a lot of guys just went faster than Victor Miranda in the span of 5 seconds, and they all updated itself. So you can see just how tight the field still is. Victor Miranda now in 4th place, trying to improve on his lap. Now he sits 3.5 tenths behind pole.
Oh, Victor Miranda, that's going to invalidate his lap, and he will not go for pole today. Here's Juan Blanat, though, into the same section of racetrack, into Oak Tree. A much better run into the 11th and 12th corners, I believe, as he trails Marco Saavedra and Tim Matzke for pole. Matzke, by the way, one of the main drivers in that incident last week at Road America that took out so many cars. He might be starting from pole today. What a way to turn things around. I know he apologized in the league Discord. It would be very, 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 very cool to see him, I think, towards the front of the field to start this race and be able to drive away a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It would certainly be nice. Obviously, I think he was the guy that I looked up to when I was racing LMP1s. He did some staggering lap times, and now currently, obviously, leading this nicely populated field on the GT3. You can see they're just practicing the pit entry. Savendra as well, one Blaine at Andrew. Looks like we're also seeing him finishing up his qualifying attempt. Gustavo Ariel currently sitting in 4th place behind Blaine at Andrew, so that gap could come down. Obviously, only race will tell. You can see the number 823, the Pro-Am, Bledsoe on the number 10 Porsche. Currently a second away in times, Andrew. I love how close these times are. You can see they're less than a second away from pole, and he's not even in the top 10.
No, he's actually 20th position, Neil Bledsoe. The previous car we saw was Martin Gramigna in 15th now. He moved up quite a ways on his last qualifying lap. Paulo Goday, lap 3 here. He's in the lower S's in the number 01 Lamborghini. Might he be able to work his way up in this qualifying run? He is quite a ways down right now.
Yeah, he definitely wants to. Andrew currently sitting just outside 20th place, if I'm not mistaken.
23rd.
He's in a 23rd, so yeah, he's in a Pro-Am sandwich. And same mistake as Victor.
So he goes off at a South Bend. How about Thomas Raley? This is his 3rd lap in car 69 as he works up to roller coaster. Just 57 seconds to go.
So can he improve? He's going to have time to open up another lap, but this might be his best opportunity. Rayleigh just coming up into the last few corners. Andrew now is just essentially just flat out try to straight line as much as you can. And you can see right there that orange Audi just coming really close to that white line. Can he improve? He's currently sitting in a 146.0. Resende looks like he stopped. And no, he does not improve, unfortunately. You can see there Resende stopped, and I think that's going to be the end of his quality.
Wow. 30 seconds
he was
for
in the
Jackson
top
Resende.
10, wasn't he, last week?
Yeah.
Top 10.
Here's Will Coffey, by the way. He just set a lap time, goes 26th quick in his Lamborghini. How about Lowy Santi? Currently 40th spot in qualifying, but does not have a lap time in. We have 44 cars here today. John Sedlak, Martin Crisp, and Aaron Folkert's not going to make it on track. Lowy Santi will not complete a lap. Neither will Eric Staropoli in car 93, although he nearly got there. I think just timed that a little bit wrong. 44 cars for our Pro-Am race. That is less cars than, and we're going to keep talking about this, I think. We're going to do the NASCAR kind of thing and talk about a crash for a few weeks, but that is fewer cars in this race than we had in the lap 1 accident out of turn 3 last week, JB. That is how massive that accident was, and that is the first step that this league has to overcome today. Get past whatever happened on lap 1 last week. Let's talk about our grid here today. On pole, Tim Matzke from Manatee Racing in car 78. Marco Saavedra will start from 2nd. Starting 3rd, you will find car 89. Juan Buena enters today 2nd in points. To the guy on his left, it is Gustavo Ariel, defending champion, starting from 4th. Starting 5th, Victor Miranda in car 17 for Texaco Racing by TK. Teammates with Gustavo Ariel now. Starts to the right side of Ricardo Rico. Starting 7th, it'll be Bruno De Carmo, one of the other Texaco Racing by TK drivers there in car 66, alongside Hunter McDaniel in car 12. The back end of your top 10, it's Toby Soriano, who's 3rd in points, and Giuliano Romagnolo, who's top 10 in points for one of the first times in the season. Sorry, I'm one car off. I read that wrong. Matthew Dench in 9th, then Toby Soriano in 10th, and then JP, I guess I stole a driver from you. Then it's Giuliano Romagnolo, who starts from 11th.
Absolutely, no problem whatsoever. 12th place goes to Fabio Zamperlini in 12th place, number 327. In row number 7, Andrew, we're going to have on the inside line Sean Dickinson, the number 64, and the number 117 of Scott Kimbrough in 14th place. I think he's our Pro-Am pole sitter, if I'm not mistaken. In 15th place on the inside, starting in row number 8, we're going to have Mark Griminga, the number 823, and the number 021 of Mitchell Johnson in 16th place, the Pro-Am Championship leader. 17th place, we're going to have Julian Fernandez, the number 50, and the number 71 of Jason Allen in 18th place. Finally, row number 10, Andrew, we're going to have Scott Reiser, the number 42, and Neil Bledsoe, the number 10 in 20th place.
Starting 21st, it's Miguel Colon in car 87. Lucas Souza grids up tonight from 22nd. Paulo Goday joins our grid from 23rd position. Starting 24th, though, it's Christopher Hill, one of the top 3 drivers from Pro-Am 1 week ago. Starting 25th, it'll be David Schwartz in car 100. Will Coffey starts tonight from the 57 car in position 26. Starting 27th, it's the all-orange Audi of Thomas Rayleigh from Epic Fails Motorsport alongside the Duckhawk Racing Machine of Rodrigo Lepre. Starting 29th, Blake Townend in car 5. Justin Hall joins us tonight from 30th.
Starting off in 31st place, we're going to have Ryan Ahman, the number 187, and the number 012, Andrew of Zach Deuce in 12th place. And I'm not crazy, I did see a McLaren. Number 25, and we're going to have Jackson Resende in the 33rd position. That is crazy to say. Brent Cook in 34th place, the number 67 is going to line up on the outside. 35th place, we're going to have Joe Singleton, the number 010, and alongside him, Rob Jr., the number 124 in 36th place. 37th place, we're going to have on the inside Diego Aaron, the number 77, and the number 52 of Stacy Bertrand in 38th place. Finally, row number 20, we're going to have Ramon Vasquez in the number 84 and the number 157 of Martin Crisp alongside him.
Starting 41st, it's Aaron Folkerts in car 82 for Beast Racing. John Sedlak might make the show in 42nd. He's having some USB connectivity issues, but he has not joined the sim just yet. Laui Santi will start from 43rd today. Eric Staropoli from 44th. And it looks like Martin Crisp will be starting from the pit lane. Aaron Folkerts and John Sedlak not in their cars. They may not make the start of today's race. That would shorten the field to 42 machines for 50 minutes of racing. Weather conditions for our pro race. Air temp, 73 degrees. It's cooled down a little bit as the track sits at 75 degrees, and the winds out of the southwest are a little bit stronger than earlier. And yes, there was that McLaren further back in the field, getting ready to go racing. A lot of Audis, a lot of Lamborghinis, some Porsches, a few BMWs, and a McLaren joining us today for VIR. It's a special day for sure. Always a good time. We get to go to Virginia International Raceway, JP. We are taking Driver of the Day votes today. I want to remind everyone of that. So if you see somebody that just kind of tickles your fancy a little bit out in the field, let us know out in the YouTube chat. Let us know who your nomination for Driver of the Day is. Meanwhile, this pace lap works down the back straightaway. A big thank you to our partners here at the North American Racing League, VRS, that's Virtual Racing School, along with Maradness and JS Consulting. Such great partners of this league. Of course, VRS, the, title partner right now, if you will. Brand new to this season. And at least brand new to this season of GT3 racing, has been on the Porsche Cup side a couple of times before. Maradness, a longtime partner, as is JS Consulting, who handles the back end of the website and everything else. Our partners here at Pits.tv, Whiplash Simcams, SimRepMarket.com, and Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. Through Hogpen, we're going to turn this field over to Tim Matzke and the sounds of the sim as we get going for 50 minutes of racing from Alton, Virginia, waiting on the drop of the green flag. And green flag is out at Virginia International Raceway. 50 minutes of racing. Let's go. One car already way off. That is a red Lamborghini. That car was Joel Singleton in the back. That was the 010. Everybody else continues on as we work on lap 1. Tim Matzke out with the race lead. One Blaine at second. Victor Miranda third. Marco Saavedra, then Hunter McDaniel your top 5.
And you can see, Andrew, there is quite close. Looks like Tim Matzke got an early lead, not by much, but it's certainly going to help him on the long run. You can see right there, second place is that Juan Blaine, I think you mentioned, right? So he's quite close, still in second place, Andrew. And you can see just far back, everybody kind of single file. Last week was a file of Porsche and Andrews. This time is essentially a line of Audis, isn't it?
That it is out front as the entire field works on underneath Oak Tree for the first time. One of our more unique views from the branches of the historic, the acclaimed Oak Tree. Down the back straightaway in a roller coaster. Here we go. Matzke leading, Blaine at second. Then it's Miranda, Saavedra, McDaniel, Rico, Ariel, Do Carmo, Soriano, and Dench, your top 10.
And you can see there, Blaney obviously finished second place last week. Andrew currently second place, so he's being consistent as he can be, and he's definitely needing, just a good result over Gustavo Ariel to take over the championship lead. Obviously, it's just lap 1 of a 50-minute race, Andrew, but that was a good start for him and a good start for the top 5.
Zach Deas, the new driver in car 012. He's a Pro-Am. Added today for the Moradness team. Lap 1 complete here at VIR. The entire field going on by. Juan Blanat, Tim Matzke, the 2 out front.
And you can see the Blanat, Andrew. He closed the gap a little bit as we have one Lamborghini spawner. Oh, no.
The 67, that was Brent Cook. Looked like he aimed straight for the 31 there of Lucas Souza. Let's go back and look at it. We're watching the black, gray, and light blue 31 here of Lucas Souza in the Lamborghini. Out of turn 1, a little bit of contact from Christopher Hill. He gets turned around. And then, I'm not sure what happens there to the blue Lamborghini of Brent Cook, but he just straight lines into Lucas Souza.
Yeah, just unfortunate. I think he got a little bit of contact and then tried to take avoiding action, but unfortunately just ran into Lucas. We're going to take a look at exactly what happened. You can see, he just came in from so far back, got the car slowed down actually, and then, no, I don't think there was any contact.
I think that was just bad wreck avoidance, unfortunately. Will Coffey, he's got problems on lap 2. He drops to 36th position. He went off track as Martin Crisp, who started from the pit lane, is now in 35th position. Miguel Colon, 42nd after lap 1 troubles. He's in the pit lane along with another Lamborghini. Did you see that? Or not a Lamborghini, another McLaren. I called that a Lamborghini on lap 1. It looked like one, but that is 2 McLarens in the field, JP, as Joel Singleton leaves the pit lane.
So that was the McLaren that I thought I saw on the run up to the grid, Andrew. And I was like, oh, interesting, a McLaren in the grid. And then I thought I saw a Porsche later. I was like, oh, no McLaren. Then you showed me another McLaren. So there we go, 2 McLarens on the field. That is really nice to see. I wonder, Andrew, that car is already challenging on itself with this new revamp of the GT3 category. I feel like that car has to be even more difficult to drive.
Well, it is, considering now Joel Singleton is out in the dirt once again.
Yeah, so that explains a bit of just how difficult this car is. And unfortunately for him, he took that challenge and unfortunately it's not working out as he planned.
The Carolina driver having to let everybody go by once again. He's already 1 lap down. And there goes the other McLaren. And Singleton is going to try to continue on here. You don't want to stop on exit. At this point, you just kind of want to rejoin and try to let people by on straightaways as you can. Stopping can actually be dangerous. So just a note there from drivers. Well, we're broadcasters who have seen it all, really. I was going to say drivers who've seen it all, but broadcasters who have really seen it all here. Up front, plenty of battles to go around in the top 10 as everybody gets in a line down the back straightaway. Let's ride on board with Sean Dickinson in 13th spot. He's just behind Season 1 champion Fabio Zamperlini.
And you can see pretty much nose to tail, Andrew, running the same car. Essentially, I feel like the same setup. And you can see just right there, the number 64 really closed up to Zamperlini, but unfortunately couldn't really capitalize on that straight line advantage. It looks like Gustavo just got past Ricardo Rico up ahead. But, you can see this is essentially a one long train, isn't it, Andrew? It's just so hard to get an advantage on the car ahead when he's essentially getting the same advantage as you are on the car ahead of him. So, just really trying to eke out that gap is just down into the braking zones, more commitment throughout the corners as, well, the reigning champion goes fastest, currently in 6th place, Andrew. He needs to do better than that if he wants to, keep his championship lead.
You're not wrong. Juan Buena enters today, just 2 points back, 1 point back, something like that, very close to the top of the field. But at the same time, JP, this is still race 2, and race 1 really on these new regulations. So I think Gustavo can relax a little bit. There's still so much time in this season to learn, and even time in this race for this race to work out. This is far from panic time for Car 1, but yes, he would like to be farther north on the standings.
Absolutely, you can see they're starting in 4th place. Normally not where we're used to seeing Gustavo in qualifying, so maybe, just getting used to the car, as you mentioned. Obviously a new car, essentially race number 1, so just trying to get it back, into the rhythm that he knows, and obviously maybe even try, Andrew, to get close to his teammates.
Yeah, of course, he's got Victor Miranda up the road in 3rd spot. He is ahead of his other teammate Bruno De Carmo by 2 spots right now, who is 8th behind Ricardo Rico. But here comes Gustavo Ariel, a run down the back straightaway on the Brabham Esports number 12 of Hunter McDaniel.
And you can see they're side by side on the back straightaway. Andrew Gustavo has the inside line on the roller coaster, and I don't think Hunter was gonna fight him too hard. Well, I take that back side by side through the roller coaster, and you can see right there the Audi is going to have the advantage, and I think Hunter might lose even one more position to Ricardo Rico, and then I think he does on the inside of the final corner.
Oh, no!
Ricardo saves it. Or
No,
Oh,
no, it is not, and he has... Well, he blinked out for a moment. I thought he alt F forward quickly, but he does stay in this race, and broadside of the racetrack. This is worst case scenario for Ricardo Rico, who will now try to get back going. And the view from the right side of the machine shows just all the cars going by. As Bruno De Carmo, oh, he was in a battle there for a moment with Hunter McDaniel, thought he was slow, but Ricardo Rico will drop now to 31st position.
Wow, he almost got himself up to 6th, Andrew, and unfortunately finished the lap in 31st. That's just really unfortunate for him. I think he just dipped the wheel on the grass, and unfortunately that's all she wrote. And meanwhile, they have more battles right here. The 52 and the 57 going side by side. Two, well, I was going to say 2 Audis. Essentially, they are 3 Super Trend, the number 52, trying to get past. I'm not quite sure who that is ahead, but a nice little battle right here.
Yeah, Stacy Bertrand, who was involved in the lap 1 melee, as was, well, most of the field. Last week at Road America, Stacy in the 30th spot chasing Martin Crisp. And, you know, what's interesting about Martin's machine, and I don't know if we're going to be able to see it. In fact, I'm not sure if the paint actually updated, but we were shared an image of the back end of that Lamborghini earlier where it says, sorry for last week. He took a lot of the blame for what happened last week at Road America in that lap 1 melee, and also was the driver to start from the pit lane today. So you can see that his data not loading in there, as one car sits in the entry to Oak Tree. That is Ramon Vasquez. In car 84, he is now last of the cars still in this race, 41st spot out of 41.
Unfortunately for him, looks like a sequence of events of bad luck, essentially. And unfortunately, he's all the way back there. Meanwhile, as we cut to the front again, I think this is Gustavo. No, this is Hunter McDaniel and Bruno De Carmo. You can see right there trying to go along the outside. Hunter defending this position. And this, I think, will make Andrew. He lost 2 positions in 2 laps if Bruno can make this stick. But Hunter has the inside line through turn number 1. He almost pushes Bruno into the grass, just leaving enough. Essentially a car's whip, and he's gonna keep that position for the time being, 5th place, but he's under a huge amount of pressure, Andrew.
And Bruno had taken this position for moments on the previous lap when we went back to look at Martin Crisp and Stacy Bertrand, but since then, Bruno De Carmo loses that position. Hunter McDaniel takes it back for the 5th position, so Bruno sits in 6th.
Right there, the pace difference. I think the Audi Andrew may have a slight advantage on the straight line. You can see right there the confidence level on Bruno is certainly higher than the one on Hunter McDaniel. Might be a difference in setup as well, but you can see right there Hunter has lost contact with Gustavo up ahead, and he's under obviously the pressure on Bruno. Looks like his exit out of Oak Tree was good, even better than Bruno, but Andrew, now the slipstream is going to kick in, and I feel like the Audi might have an advantage on the end of the straightaway.
Just wanted to quickly mention that Fabio Zampolini just lost a couple of positions to Scott Reister and Jason Allen. Fabio now drops to the 18th position. Bruno De Carmo, meanwhile, still working here on Hunter McDaniel. Very, very close. This still for 5th. And the Brabham Esports, number 12, gave up a little bit of time there. Nearly gave up the spot, but it's tough to pass down in Hogpen. There's really no room to do it, so if you're going to lose time, that's a safe place to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. Just better to lose a few tenths of a second and not take the position there. And just, you know, essentially line yourself up for exactly what Bruno is doing. And you're trying to get the slipstream and going along the outside. You can see there Hunter defending once again on the inside. It's going to break a bit later. Looks like Bruno is going to try to do the cutback. But again, not enough room right there. Hunter doing an excellent masterclass in defending right here, Andrew. I'm really like what I'm seeing on these two.
Still battling for 5th position. The loser of this battle will have to settle for 6th, at least for the time being. And behind these guys, Marco Savandra, Toby Soriano, Matthew Dench, all kind of gaining time. Let's ride on board briefly with Matthew in the 9th position. One of the first drivers to announce in the Discord channel that he was making the switch to Lamborghini this week it's been an up and down week, I think, for everybody, trying to figure out what car to go to. I think quickly drivers and teams learned that the Lamborghini, really the Audi platform, was the way to go. Rear engine, really, and just attacks corners beautifully. And whether it's the Lamborghini or the Audi, it is certainly doing wonders for these drivers today. The car of choice this week at VIR, and I don't know that's going to change much, honestly.
Yeah, that's a great question, Andrew. And I was just thinking, how much practice they had to put in, just to test car after car to see which one was the fastest. Obviously, soon they came to a conclusion that the Audi, as you mentioned, the Audi platform, as Bruno De Carmo goes down the inside of Hunter McDaniel down into roller coaster. Hunter once again trying to defend the inside line, and fortunately he spins around, and that's going to be difficult, Andrew, to get it back rolling. And I feel like he's going to have to let a huge number of cars, and you can see right there just how many cars he's letting by. Just really unfortunate.
He's still trying to get back going as he is off track. Will finally find his way to the racetrack. 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th position. 24th, actually, for car 12, Hunter McDaniel, who was just battling for 5th.
Just really unfortunate, doing exactly what he did to Gustavo a handful of laps ago, and unfortunately this time did not work out for some reason. He ended up spinning on the apex. Now we're going to take a look at exactly what happened. You can see that Bruno De Carmo with the slingshot essentially goes by, and do they make contact, Andrew?
I don't think so. Unfortunately, I don't think there was any contact there for Hunter McDaniel. I guess fortunately, however you want to look at that. But Hunter McDaniel goes around, now 24th position. Such a great showing last week at Road America, and now 24th spot. A lot of ground to make up, and unfortunately, he's not going to make all of that up, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting back to the position that he was just in, Andrew, it's going to take, I guess, nothing short of a miracle. But, I'm sure he's going to give it the best that he can. Meanwhile, you can see there Matthew Dench chasing down Soriano just ahead of him, Andrew. Essentially two Audis, Matthew on the Lamborghini chasing down an Audi just ahead of him. You can see there the gap 0.3 of a second, and then coming down as the slipstream kicks in. And you can see just they're closing in. But as they come into the braking zone, not alongside, not close enough to try and move, but definitely applying a lot of pressure to Soriano just ahead.
Not many battles towards the front. How about Scott Kimbrough and Martin Gramigna? This is in the 12th and 13th positions overall, but this is actually for the Pro-Am lead. Gramigna, the top Pro-Am driver currently in that number 823 Audi. Kimbrough, the second Pro-Am driver over Mitchell Johnson, who was just behind.
Yeah, this is an amazing little battle to keep an eye out for. And Andrew, obviously, if they capitalize on the pro drivers' bad luck up ahead, they still be battling not only for the leader, but also for a top 10 position. You can see it right there. I thought it was a car for position, but I don't think that green Lamborghini is for position.
It is actually. That is 11th. That is Julian Fernandez.
Oh, so there we go. So almost a battle for 10th place. You can see 10th place just ahead. So interesting right here, Andrew. 3 Audis chasing down a Lamborghini just ahead. This is going to get spicy in a few laps, I think.
Problems, Bruno De Carmo in the lower S's. He is off, and that Audi rather has got a lot of nose damage, and that is just about his race done.
Yeah, I would share that thought, Andrew. Something terrible happened to that car, and unfortunately, he's going to have to make a trip down into the pit lane, and I don't think he's going to be in the fuel lane, though, just yet. Let's take a look at onboard to see what happened. Oh, just taking too much grass and taking too much curb.
And at nearly the same time, something new has happened to Hunter McDaniel. Watch this as he was chasing the 124 of Rob Rodriguez Jr. This is into turn 4, left hook, gets into the back end of Rodriguez and goes for a spin.
Really unfortunate, made contact with the car ahead, and unfortunately he went for the spin. Just not his couple of laps, is it, Andrew? Unfortunately, a lot of bad luck right there for Hunter. And for Bruno De Carmo as well. And just what I mentioned to you, just keep your nose clean. And then, well, soon we might see that the Pro-Am leader on the top 10.
This on board with Victor Miranda now. This is for second place with Juan Blanat. We've not talked much about the leaders, but the top 3 are all within about 1.7 seconds. And I think Victor may have something for Juan here soon.
You can see just how close he is, Andrew. I don't think oh, look at this. Almost a mistake from Juan Blanchard and almost a move right there for Victor. Meanwhile, Tim Matzke is going to just keep building that gap up ahead as these two are going to battle. And obviously, that's also bringing... Oh, as a mistake for Blanchard. He saves it. It's similar to Bruno do Carmo.
Catches too much grass, too much dirt, makes a mistake, loses the second spot. Now has to deal with Gustavo Ariel. This is into the upper S's, nose to tail for third spot. Two Audis. It's Juan Blanchard, Gustavo Ariel, last week's lead battle and last season's championship battle.
Yeah, two Audis, two rivals, Andrew, essentially, I mean, two drivers going at it for position. I don't think one is going to make it too easy on Gustavo, but I don't think he's going to have a choice. Gustavo is going to come in blazing with the slipstream. He's going to try to get this position, I think, as early as he can to battle for the lead after the pit stops. Will Juan defend coming into the roller coaster? He won't. He'll stick to the racing line, and Gustavo is going to take the inside line. They'll go side by side to the first part. It's side by side through the second one as well.
Oh, Gustavo walks it off track. Definitely finding the limits there.
Yeah, unfortunately he did, and I think he's going to carry a slowdown as well, Andrew, as he rejoins the racetrack. But a valiant effort right there for Gustavo. Really nice to see a driver risking it all. And unfortunately, he's going to come in under pressure from who only? Matthew Dench.
This is amazing, JP. We're seeing pro drivers push. We haven't seen this in a couple of seasons. We're seeing mistakes be made. We're seeing the dynamic of this race change as now Matthew Dench has a look at Gustavo Ariel, albeit from a few tenths back. Hunter McDaniel and Jackson Resende are battling for 30th position. Did you think we'd say that this season?
No, especially after next week? Absolutely not. Last week's, I should say. It's absolutely crazy how much has changed, Andrew. And I'm so glad it did. As Jackson makes a mistake, saves it. This is amazing.
A lot more volatility. Nobody is safe right now with these cars. Giuliano Romagnolo in the top 10. He's chasing Marcos Saavedra. I know a lot of you Maradness guys are going to want to talk about this guy. Giuliano in the 8th position. Just about 6/10 back of Saavedra. That's for 7th.
Made up 3 places so far, Andrew. A good race so far, just like we expect for him. And you can see right there, just chasing down, trying to chip away that gap up ahead. Currently under a second. He's definitely within a shot still. I think he can even see Gustavo up ahead, can he?
Yeah, those guys are all close together. We've got a line from Gustavo Ariel back through Matthew Dench, Toby Soriano, Marco Saavedra, and Giuliano Romagnolo. Then it's 2.3 seconds back to Sean Dickinson, another 2 seconds back to Julio Fernandez for the 10th position. Still on board here with Romagnolo.
Absolutely loving this new dynamic, Andrew. Absolutely loving it. If we can throw rain right now, dynamic weather, I would be a happy man right now. But unfortunately, a bit too far out. But this is just doing the job, isn't it? As you mentioned, drivers pushing, drivers going for moves early on in the race, and obviously making mistakes is what we kind of want to see, as we just see a beautiful 51 Lamborghini going down the inside of an Audi, down into, I should say a BMW actually, into roller coaster. This is just amazing.
That's Ricardo Rico passing Rob Rodriguez Jr. for 23rd spot. We also have a battle with Thomas Rayleigh and David Shorts. How about Paulo Goday and Christopher Hill, a couple of Pro-Am. And actually, no, see, I'm used to Paulo being a Pro-Am. Won the championship last season in Pro-Am, but is now a Pro. That said, he's 18th spot right now, but he has made up 5 positions.
A good jump for him to Pro. Obviously, lots to learn still, Andrew. He definitely has the pace, just trying, I guess, to adjust to the GT3 reset, and you can see just how much pressure he's putting on the car up ahead. It's going to be fun to watch. The number 01, Andrew. It's kind of weird, isn't it, to see the number 1 on Gustavo and the number 01 on Paulo, but certainly we're going to get used to it, and that's a beautiful paint scheme.
Problems.
On that. Oh, no.
And Victor Miranda has broken the left rear of the car. That is a broken towing for the first time this season. Finally, we see the new damage model take place, and Victor Miranda sidelined for the rest of VIR.
Just like that, Andrew, everything changed. He's out of the race. Where did it happen?
In Oak Tree.
Oh, no.
Straight off the track there. Walks it out to the barrier, and you can't hit those and be as safe anymore. He breaks the tow link, and he tries to rev it and keep going, but there's no drive.
That's absolutely crazy. I wonder if he carried any damage, Andrew, from that jump that he had just, one corner before. We saw the car going a bit wide, hitting the curb. I wonder if something happened and he couldn't get the car slowed down. And you can see right they're just taking a bit too much speed. I think that was just pretty much it.
Very painful there. You can see some of the damage on the left rear. He really, really damaged the left side of that car, and that is the first toe link I've seen break in the GT3s since the update. Bruno Di Carmo headed down the pit lane. This is early, and he's got some damage.
Last week, Andrew, that damage would have been maybe just a suspension, just a bit of damage in suspension. Today, well, that was a DNF. Bruno Di Carmo, as you mentioned, on the pit lane, takes a fast repair. You can see the front end of that Audi being repaired. So I wonder, Andrew, I think he just waited until the pit window opened to essentially just take one free stop. 17, 18, it's going to be nearly a 20. Yes, it is going to be a 20-second stop for him as he rejoins, but I don't think he's going to come back to the pit lane anytime soon.
Now, I know tires don't seem to be beneficial just yet, but the other thing that's going to open them up, JP, is we actually have a lower fuel load to start this race. That means we have more fuel to put in the cars, and I've only just realized this. With the now 45% fuel limit to start the race, sure, you can put 55% in at the stop to make it that way, but you now have to put in more fuel no matter what. You have to put in more fuel to make it to the end of this race. That actually means the fuel stops are going to take longer, as we saw there for Bruno Di Carmo. 20 seconds. That's rare.
Yeah, that is really rare. We're used to see, even though it's 10 minutes longer this race, we normally see pit stops that are often shorter than the amateur race, even though it's 10 minutes, quicker. So now we're definitely going to be seeing the opposite. These stops are going to be much, much longer, which is really good to see, Andrew. I guess adds a bit to that anxiety of the pilot seeing that time, just stop, and your competitors, just closing in, and obviously getting the calculations correct should be a bit more interesting as well. So a new dynamic that I'm looking forward to seeing.
This the battle for fifth as Jason Allen will pit. Toby Soriano, Marcos Saavedra in cars 4 and 99. Marcos new to the series, but fitting in nicely. Thomas Rayleigh also pitting this lap. They'll be joined by Zach Deus on the pit lane.
And you can see right there the number 012 just coming into the pit lane. Should expect, Andrew, then a 20-second stop, 22 for everybody. You can see there, Allen 20.15. So that should be, I guess, the average for everybody. I think we're going to see some crazy gambles, maybe into the 18s from the top leaders, should they need it. And you can see right there, 21.22 for the number 012. So, yeah, I think that's going to be the average we're looking for today.
I want to mention that Zach's last name is actually pronounced Diaz. He actually messaged me earlier today, Zach Diaz, in car 012. So thank you, Zach, for the heads up. I'd forgotten about it, but I went back to check messages as here comes Marco Saavedra. He is slow, and that is the wrong pit lane, JP. That is South Paddock, where he just entered the pits, and I think he broke the car pretty bad. He follows in Victor Miranda's footsteps, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was going to mention that was the wrong pit lane. I see exactly what happened to number 99. And you can see right there, he was stable through there, but then coming into Oak Tree, just turning a bit too late, clipping the grass, and there's absolutely no stopping, hitting the tire barrier sideways, Andrew. And I think that's exactly what drivers should avoid today. And you can see right there, the car is absolutely undrivable. So really unfortunate to see how easily, a mistake can cost you a race, although realistic.
Leaders now pitting on just lap 15 of 29 at just 25 minutes complete. We're also going to see earlier pit stops, so a lot of new dynamics as Matsky works off the pit lane, 20.73 seconds. Blanat now over 20 seconds, 21 and a half nearly. Gustavo Ariel will work out at a 19.85. Toby Soriano a 19.97. Giuliano Romagnolo 20.65. And Rob Rodriguez Jr., I think, had a drive-through.
Fernandez 19.10. You can see right there everything, just in the 19. No one in the 18s just yet. Oh, it's one car. Oh, that's
Julian Fernandez.
No.
Teammates with Ricardo Rico.
Yeah, the same paint scheme, and unfortunately for him, Andrew, cold tires, I think, just pushing a bit too much too early after the pit stops, and unfortunately he's going to be pointing the wrong direction. Meanwhile, this battle continues. I'm liking what I'm seeing just ahead, Andrew. Matthew Dench and Scott Kimbrough, as well as Scott Reister, and it looks like Talent as well, all of them keeping out for at least one more lap. Meanwhile, you can see there the Pro-Am leader, Greminga, 19.7 seconds on the pit lane.
Yeah, Grimigna comes in, takes fuel as he has to, and as you mentioned, 19.7 seconds in the box. That's one of the faster stops of the day, as he's just in front of Sean Dickinson, who he overlaps in the pit lane as they will pass one car in the grass. And I think that was a lap position, but Julian Romagnolo battling here with Bruno De Carmo. No, rather Gustavo Ariel down the back straightaway.
All you can see right there looks like Gustavo just got ahead of him, and you can see there Giuliano may try to do the cutback. Looks like he's just going to be waiting Andrew. Maybe not his fight just yet in this race. So the number 55 electing to take it a little bit easy against the number 1, and Gustavo looks like is going to be leading this battle. Meanwhile, the number 5 comes down in the pit lane, and tires being taken by Blake Townend. That's good to see.
And that is the RD Simsport driver of Blake Townend out of Canada. He'll jump up on the lifts there, as will Scott Reister. I did not expect that from Scott, but he takes tires, and look at that. It's only a second difference. JP, if tires are better, wow, that really changes things. This pro season now could be completely turned up on its head. A second difference between tires and not tires. If we hit tracks where tires wear out, oh boy, we have got a heck of a season in store as one car is spun around, 2 cars are spun around. Mitchell Johnson, last week's Pro-Am winner, in trouble.
Oh, just outside of turn number 1, we saw puff of smoke, Andrew, and that purple Audi in trouble. Really unfortunate. And taking a look at the Pit Stop TV replay to see exactly what happened down in turn 1, I think we saw at least 2 cars involved. And this is just going to confirm our suspicions. Now currently 26th place Mitchell Johnson is, and loses all on his own, Andrew. And 2 Audis tandem drifting, and then a BMW comes in and essentially straightens up Alan. Christopher Hill, unfortunately, probably taking a little bit of front end damage right there. So essentially 2 Audis committing the same exact mistake, Andrew. That's crazy to see.
I know it's crazy because we haven't seen it in a while, but that's exactly what we expect out of Audi R8 sometimes. They are wild to handle. This is in the top 10. Sean Dickinson and Scott Kimbrough. Kimbrough has pitted. Wow, he is 6th place, JP, and he is the Pro-Am leader.
How long was his stop?
Only 20.5 seconds, which is only 0.2 seconds faster than Martin Grimigna. So Grimigna is now in 2nd place in Pro-Am. And actually, no, I'm sorry, I had the numbers wrong. It was an 18.7 for Kimbrough. It was a 19.7 for Grimigna. That was a second in the pit lane. That was huge.
Yeah, huge. You can see right there the difference on track, Andrew. You can see there is essentially 2 positions. Now, Kimbrough obviously leading this Pro-Am battle and in 6th place, which is amazing to see. Obviously, Dickinson between these two is going to act like a good buffer as long as Kimbrough can keep himself ahead of the number 64. And Andrew, now we have a nice little battle right here. This is going to evolve. Then obviously the question is, did the 117 put enough fuel till the end of the race if he keeps on leading this battle, Andrew?
It's a great question as Kimbrough works from the 6th position. It's driver of the day time, though, JP, as we watch this battle take place. I gotta ask, if you had to make 2 nominations here, looking at the field, pros only, who are they? There we go.
I think the top 2. Tim Matzke, I mean, just been controlling the pace, 9 seconds clear. And obviously, Matthew Dange came from, I think, was outside of the top 10 in qualifying, or just, in the top 10, and now currently in 2nd place, and looks like he has a good margin. I feel like those 2 are my picks.
And you know what? I'm gonna have to go. I hope Emerson's listening to us here for this one as we see this battle. Dickinson's going to have a run on Kimbrough. Kimbrough's going to fight back. I like the fight from Kimbrough, but at the same time, realize this is not for Pro-Am position. I know it's for points, but let the guy go by if you have to. He will hang on to the spot there, though, so you know what? He knew better. I just don't want him to get in a crash and end up regretting fighting. Ricardo Rico, by the way, gets by his teammate Julian Fernandez, but there's a driver I want to highlight that is actually in this battle, and it's actually one of the drivers I just mentioned. Ricardo Rico, I think, is going to take one of my votes for driver of the day today. He was down around, 30th spot? He is now 14th. That's impressive.
What? All right, so I might have to think about my votes again, Andrew. The number 51 until the end of the race. I think like we have to do Formula 1 style until the checkered flag we can vote, because Ricardo is doing a fantastic comeback race. Now we're going to have to keep an eye out for the number 51, because if he's up to 14th, Andrew, I feel like he can maybe crack the top 10 before the race ends.
Now, my other vote would have to be Giuliano Romagnolo. He has quietly worked his way into the 5th position now. Whoa, that was a big correction out of Christopher Hill, one of the Pro-Ams, just ahead of these guys. In fact, David Schwartz is that Lamborghini between Ricardo Rico and Christopher Hill. I think Rico could absolutely still top 10. It would take probably a mistake out of Bruno De Carmo, but he can at least go 11th place, as he's going to make a move here on David Schwartz. This will be for 14th, or 13th rather, and he gets the spot easily. Ricardo Rico is on the move.
Yeah, he is, Andrew. Just a man possessed, I think it is right now, the number 51. If he can keep himself clean and keep his pace and essentially this aggression, I feel like that's going to be all he needs to crack himself in the top 10. And then who knows, just 4 drivers ahead of him into mistakes, and he could see himself progressing even further.
Meanwhile, here we go for the Pro-Am race lead. Scott Kimbrough, Martin Grimigna for the 7th position overall. This will be a haul of points over the rest of their Pro-Am competitors, by the way, as they are ahead of Juan Blanat and Bruno De Carmo for the time being. The battle for the Pro-Am race lead, it's on your screen.
It's going to be huge, Andrew, to see how this essentially unfolds. Cannot wait to see who's going to come out on top. Obviously, Martin was leading until the pit stops, and then, Kimbrough just put an absolutely masterclass on the pit stops. It's going to be fun to watch till the end of the race.
Ahead of these guys, Gustavo Ariel has just taken away the 3rd position from Toby Soriano. And that puts the reigning champion back onto the podium here in the North American Racing League. So, JP, do you recall how you said earlier, 6th place, it was kind of he needs to go? Well, he has gone, and he has just kind of played attrition here and is up several positions now at a 3rd, as we've got problems. Ricardo Rico and Christopher Hill off track, and as soon as we nominate and put the vote up for Ricardo Rico in Driver of the Day, he's off track and is now 20th position.
Unfortunate, Andrew. Obviously, sometimes mistakes will come with aggression, and let's see exactly what happened to the number 51 that stopped him from progressing even further. And I think that was in the first sector. I think that may even be on the first few corners. And yes, it was. You can see it right here, approaching turn number 1. Ricardo just getting so close to that BMW. And unfortunately, Andrew, just like we saw, I think it was on the Pro-Am race, wasn't it? The amateur race, should I say, just tapping the backhand. Oh no, it's Hunter McDaniel just tapping the backhand of the car ahead and just spinning out. That Lamborghini looks like has a tendency injury, and it's not one of the good ones.
We'll join a fight now, once again, for the Pro-Am race lead. 15 minutes and 50 seconds to go. The vote is on screen for Driver of the Day, and Matthew Dench was leading for a while, and then the Stu Stands came out, and Romagnolo now leading by quite a ways. Get your votes in, guys, that are on the YouTube chat, that are watching this race. Vote for your driver, Tim Matsky, Matthew Dench, Ricardo Rico, or Giuliano Romagnolo, as this is the fight for your Pro-Am race lead at turn 1.
Absolutely beautiful seeing these two going at it together. Angel looks like they both have similar pace. I'd even say that Gramigna has a bit more pace right now than Scott Kimbrough, but Dickinson may be helping Scott right here in this phase, just giving him a little bit of straight line speed with that slipstream and just allowing him to keep position. Meanwhile, as long as he defends the inside line, Andrew, I feel like he's going to have a good shot, and it's going to take quite a challenge from the number 823 to pass the 117.
Ricardo Rico out of the race.
Is that commentator's curse at its worst, I think?
Yeah, it's one of the worst, honestly, that I've made. Let's go back and see the incident here for Ricardo Rico. This is through Hogpen. And it looks like at some point here he catches some grass right there. Yep, and the car just takes off on him. And boom, tire barrier, and he's done.
Just so unfortunate to see such a good, a good race for him. It was until 2 laps ago, and unfortunately for him, that's going to accumulate into a DNF. Really unfortunate to see, Andrew, but that's just the nature of racing, isn't it?
That it is. Here's your race leader from Manatee Racing, Tim Matsky. Honestly, I think he should be leading the Driver of the Day vote. He's got 10 seconds on Matthew Dench, who is now 2nd. What a run from Matsky. And I mentioned it in qualifying, JP. We saw him go pole, and it's like, what if? Just what if Matsky is involved in that lap 1 incident, a big part of it at Road America, comes out here and runs up front. Well, the I Liveries, number 78, is leading by 10 seconds and is very much on his way to a race victory in the North American Racing League, so long as he can hang on for 13, nearly 14 more minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing a fantastic job, Andrew, just controlling the pace like he has since lap number 1. Just has been extending his gap lap after lap, which, I mean, is exactly what you need to do. It looks like he's on that zone, you're just putting out perfect laps after perfect laps, which is really good to see. And obviously, only 13 minutes and 30 seconds to go, Andrew. I'm still going to knock on wood because, I mean, looks like we are on point with the curse today, but the number 78 is doing a fine job today.
He'll work through Oak Tree one more time. This is lap 21 now, by the way, for the race leaders. I would have expected 29, and he got just a little bit of dirt there, but thankfully hangs on to it. Here's Toby Soriano in the 4th position, and he was another driver I was considering for driver of the day, but I believe I nominated him last week, and I didn't want to double up on him. I think I still doubled up on Stu, but anyways, Toby Soriano 4th, chasing Gustavo Ariel. I think we've got to watch Toby this season. He is definitely quietly really, really good.
And obviously, this new revamp, Andrew, may have, helped him. Maybe it has suited his driving style maybe a little bit better than the old GT3, and we might, see a new driver emerging, challenging, and just like we're seeing right now, looks like Soriano is putting the pressure on Gustavo Ariel, which is really good to see, exactly what we want, and who knows, maybe the number 4 will finish inside the podium position.
Let's go back to our Pro-Am lead fight as they work into Hogpen now. I do want to mention, I see the guy out in the chat that is partially responsible for working with iRacing, I do believe, and getting these GT3 cars up to date. Daniel Morad, thank you, because these GT3 cars now are so much better, I think, than they were prior, and definitely a step in the right direction for GT racing on the sim as a whole. This is a really cool new era debuting here on Pit Stop TV for GT3 racing as a whole on iRacing. This is so cool. This is the battle for your Pro-Am race lead still. 7th and 8th on track, but 1st and 2nd in Pro-Am, and Gramigna continues to just try and put pressure on Scott Kimbrough. We've still got nearly 12 minutes to go of racing from VIR. And while those guys go at it, look at this.
Oh, it's a nice gaggle right here.
This is a big gaggle of cars as Sean Dickinson has problems. He has bended, it looks like. We're going to let this breathe for a moment because what is going on here? We got a lot of cars in a small space. Hunter McDaniel to the inside of Paulo Godai. There's Christopher Hill in picture, Fabio Zamperlini, Blake Townsend, Will Coffey, even Martin Crisp. A lot of cars in one small space.
Really interesting, really lovely to see this, Andrew, to see how many cars are on a straight line battling for position. And this is fun. I don't think we can get away for this much longer because look at this. Hunter McDaniel obviously just put pressure on Paulo Godai. Couldn't really get the position, but it looks like he has the extra pace at this point in the race, Andrew. And that Porsche leading the pack just made a small mistake.
Fabio Zamperlini! He's going to tag the 5 of Townend, and they're both going to crash in Oak Tree. Wow!
And Tim Manzik is going to take over the fastest lap award so far. You can see that the number 5 Porsche now rejoining the Oak Tree, rejoined safely, no one around him. And meanwhile, you can see there Hunter McDaniel and Paulo Godai, they might go at it on roller coaster. Hunter McDaniel goes down the inside. Can he get the position, Andrew? So far, he's been on the
look at Christopher Hill! Oh, he goes right by him! There goes the 01 Paulo Godai. Contact with Hunter McDaniel as Christopher Hill goes way down the hill. And I think he might have missed the... No, he has absolutely nailed the barriers. Look at the left front.
Oh, that car is gone. That's a DNF within 10 minutes to go, Andrew.
Wow. This race is something else, and he's going to try and drive it back to the pit lane. I don't think he realizes that he has no left front. I think even the left rear is completely damaged. This would be much smarter to park it at this point, but he's going to try and drive back to the pit lane.
Yeah, he has that. I think he might have that fast repair injury, just trying to avoid any possible tow. And you can see right there, he's essentially drifting this BMW onto the pit lane, and he's going to get that car stopped. And you can see right there, the front tire is essentially gone at this point. It is gone at this point, and he misses. Does he have a fast repair? He does. Look at that. Just quickly back on schedule and back on racing condition. He goes as... Is that Juan Blanat?
Juan Blanat with problems. So much is going on in the closing minutes here at VIR. Here is Juan Blanat's issue into Oak Tree, it looks like. That's a common problem.
Looks like that's a trouble spot, Andrew, for everyone, looks like, for every single pro driver. And he was even before.
He takes a big header into the wall. That is a lot of damage, and he's done.
Yep, another DNF within 10 minutes to go. This is insane, Andrew.
We're going to join a battle in Pro-Am. This is 11th and 12th. David Schwartz and Thomas Rayleigh. These guys are just outlasting the pros. They're dropping like flies at this point.
I was just going to mention that we didn't see any of those mistakes on the amateur race, and we haven't seen any of those mistakes on the Pro-Am side. So I'm not quite sure if it's a setup thing, if it's just pushing way too hard. But so far, it looks like the pros are suffering with the cars a bit more than the Pro-Ams and the amateurs are.
Meanwhile, Kimbrough and Gramigna still stay nose to tail for the Pro-Am race lead. In 6th and 7th now, as Romagnolo got by them a while ago. DeCarmo still has not caught them. And Scott Reister is now in the top 10, JP. This is insane. Actual madness, or can we say more radness? I'll see myself out the door.
Yeah, but yeah, this is absolutely insane to see. And I was just looking at the championship standings for the Pro-Am side, because obviously Scott Kimbrough is in 2nd place, just 1 point behind Mitchell Johnson, who unfortunately, had a terrible race. And obviously Christopher Hill, which was his close competitor in 3rd place, is currently 27th. So a really good day so far for Scott Kimbrough if he can take this win. Now we're going to take a look at exactly what happened to Sean Dickinson, who was ahead of both the Pro-Ams, wasn't he, before Andrew, currently 35th place. Let's see exactly what happened to him. And looks like he's going to be maybe into turn number 1.
This might be a little bit off. It's not perfectly where the incident happens. So we're going to fast forward and try to find that for you, but it's just recent that it's happened. In fact, I just found it on my replay. So let's go back and get a look at it here. This is Sean Dickinson in the lower S's, and it's going to be a big hit. Through left hook and turn 5, now turn 6 into Snake. And right there, just curve, goes out wide, and that cut point that a lot of drivers have been taking, that's what's been catching them out, and he got stuck in the tire barriers as well. That was a big hit.
Oh, really unfortunate. It's exactly what happened to Bruno, wasn't it?
Pretty much. Very, very close.
And yet another pro driver, Andrew, suffering from the track conditions. It's absolutely insane.
Well, it's not even the track conditions. I think these guys are finding the limits of tire wears. Marco Saavedra, we didn't even see this, JP. He is down in 27th spot and has just crashed out.
I'm just confused at this point, Andrew. This is so much happening within such a short amount of time.
Here's the onboard for Saavedra. Started
This
second.
Is down to Oak Tree, Andrew. I think, I don't know. This might be a curse on pro drivers or some sort.
Well, I think it's a lack of practice, lack of being able to test the car for 50 minutes through Oak Tree, through South Bend. Really, it's South Bend that's getting them. It's not even Oak Tree.
Yeah, that was pretty much the same as Juan Blaine had just a few laps ago. I think that was a very similar mistake. I think he dipped a wheel on the grass just before the turn-in point, just went a little bit wide, lost the back end of the car, and that's pretty much all she wrote.
Now, 5.5 minutes to go. Toby Soriano, Gustavo Ariel, JP. Will either one of these guys last?
Oh, that's a great question, Andrew. Maybe they don't even have to overtake; they just have to outlast their opponents at this point. Just a race for survival.
The driver of the day vote is still alive. Giuliano Romagnolo leads at 37%. He's 5th. Tim Matzke, the race leader, is tied with Matthew Dench, who's 2nd on the racetrack. They are tied for 2nd in the vote. Ricardo Rico, now at 11%, is 4th. And did you see that move? Toby Soriano was looking at a turn 1 on Gustavo Ariel. Neither one of these guys in the driver of the day vote, but they could make the case, certainly, as they ride 3rd and 4th.
They're
getting close.
Theory. You saw how Gustavo went defensive, and we know he didn't have the best qualifying session. He didn't have the best of starts, Andrew, and he was very aggressive early on. I wonder if he's suffering a bit from tire wear at this stage of the race and is having to go defensive against Toby, who may have taken it a little bit easier and has a bit more grip at this stage.
I think that's what we're seeing for sure for the entire field is tire wear. And we're learning the limits of these tires now. They used to be much more durable. And now, your driving style, the track conditions, the track type, it's all going to wear on these tires so much more. And I would love to know, drivers, if you're willing to share, it can be anonymous as well, but if you can send us tire data after this race, I would love to know how much tire wear is left, how much tire life is left for each of these tires on each of these cars. So drivers, teams, if you're listening, if you could somehow provide us with that, you can stay anonymous if you wish and message us on Discord, let us know that. I would love to know. I really would. I think that would tell a big story as Julian Fernandez and Scott Reister will battle, and Fernandez walks right on by for the 9th position. Matsky, though, we're talking about tire wear. Matsky goes purple at a 145.054.
Yeah, obviously, I think Matsky's just in that position, Andrew. He's just been controlling, just taking a little bit easy as we have one Porsche, Neil Bledsoe, just before Oak Tree looks like going on the grass. I don't think he hit the tire barrier. He may just have, and yes, he goes back to the pit lane. But yeah, the number 78, Andrew, just been controlling the pace, being able, not having essentially to push as hard as maybe Gustavo had, as looks like that is going to be Hunter McDaniel making a move down into roller coaster, this time getting its stick. So yeah, I think that just might be the case, Andrew, maybe taking a little bit of a less aggressive setup, and that's just helping him keeping his tires alive.
And Martin Crisp. JP, this guy started from the pit lane, and you can tell that because his data will not load for us. Started from the pit lane. He is 14th position.
That is absolutely insane, Andrew. But last time we talked about a driver that was in 14th position, everything went wrong in just a couple of laps, so might as well knock on wood. But that is an incredible drive right there.
I'm feeling chaotic, but I'll go ahead and knock on wood just for him. One moment. There we go. We'll get the knock on wood for him. Hopefully nothing bad happens in the closing stages. He was just 13th, by the way, now 14th. So maybe I waited just a little bit too long to get to him. Maybe we will curse him here, but we'll see. He's 14th, trying to hang on to that spot over Paulo Goday. Meanwhile, the Pro-Am lead has split up, JP. It is now a 1.7 second gap from Scott Kimbrough back to Martin Grimigna. And Kimbrough, with just 2 minutes to go, will get the 2 to go signal this time by, maybe even the 1 to go, depending on where the leader is. Matsky has just taken 2 laps to go, it looks like.
Yeah, looks like that. So Matsky just, 13 seconds, Andrew. I think he has this in the bag. Matthew Dench, just 3 seconds clear of Gustavo, who's obviously still under pressure. And I think Scott, just at this point, has, I think, maybe just better tires than Grimigna, and is just able to push maybe a little bit more, clear the gap, extend that gap a little bit more, as we have, looks like, yet another battle right here on the closing stages. I'm not quite sure where this battle is, but I'm sure they're very close to one another.
25th and 26th, this is Juan Blanat passing Christopher Hill. So Juan back on track in 25th spot.
Oh, he's just behind Gustavo and Soriano, isn't he?
Yes, on track he is, you're right. Gustavo Ariel and Toby Soriano through the lower S's battling for 3rd and 4th on track. 1 minute to go, and Hunter McDaniel has a problem. He goes off track briefly, but this is the battle to watch.
And if Juan has taken, obviously he took a fast repair, if he has new tires, Andrew, I'm not quite sure if they apply on the fast repair, we could be seeing the difference in tire life and tire quality, in grip, all that sort of stuff about at this stage.
The driver of the day vote is getting closer. Romagnolo 34%, Matsky 31%. Get your votes in now. When we finish reading the results, or actually when we finish reading the results, that vote is final. Get your votes in now. 20 seconds to go as Soriano chases Gustavo Ariel up to the roller coaster, and we're going to take the white flag here in just a couple of moments. Before we do that, a big thank you to our partners here at the North American Racing League, VRS, Moradness, NJS Consulting, and Matsky, while he takes the white flag, a purple lap. It's a 145.044. Just keeps going faster.
Oh, that is absolutely insane, Andrew. He's treating his tires, he's just massaging them at this point. He's not even, just pushing them to the limit. Doesn't feel like. You're going to have to ask him what the secret is. I'm not quite sure if he's going to share it to us, but it's worth asking. The number 78, absolutely. I think there's no other word, Andrew. I think absolutely dominating today.
Absolutely. He got the lead from the pole and has simply never looked back. Has led the entire race to this point. And I don't think that's going to change now as he powers through the lower S's up to the upper S's. That said, he's got to go through Danger Zone one more time, JP. He's got to get through South Bend and Oak Tree. He gets through South Bend, Oak Tree then should be a whole lot easier now. And yes, Matsky's going to get on through Oak Tree. That's been the danger zone, so he should be nearly home free now in position 1. What a race we've seen today, and it's not over. The Pro-Am battle, it's still relatively close. Martin Crisp and Paulo Godai, they fight. Crisp loses the 13th position as McDaniel went off and gave him that spot. But Matsky into the final couple of corners, 13 seconds ahead of Matthew Dench. It's the Manatee Racing number 78, just hogpen to go, and the Audi Renaissance here is being led by Tim Matsky, who is going to win at Virginia International Raceway. Round 2 of the North American Racing League goes to Matsky.
What a race from the number 78, absolutely dominating from start to finish, didn't look back, didn't have to look back, and Andrew, this is going to be a long 13 seconds until we see Matthew Dench exiting the final corner to finish in second place. Looks like Gustavo Ariel is going to hold off Soriano for third place as the number 4 car. Oh, as Matthew Dench, look at that, Andrew, steals the fastest lap as he crosses the line. How about that?
Gramigna and Kimbrough, they battle for the Pro-Am win, but it's going to be all Scott Kimbrough at the end of the day. He takes checkers in Pro-Am today at Virginia International Raceway. Everybody else comes across the line. It'll be Julian Fernandez in 9th spot. Whenever he gets to the start-finish, he is working out of Hogpen now. Then Scott Reister in 10th. And somewhere back there, Thomas Rayleigh, 3rd in Pro-Am, will finish 11th today over David Schwartz. Paulo Godai will finish 13th today. Martin Crisp is going to finish 14th. What a race.
What a fantastic race, Andrew. I mean, we came here excited for the new cars, but I think it was just so much better than we could have thought.
Infinitely better than I expected, that's for sure. A few cars left to finish. They'll be Stacy Bertrand, Zach Diaz, Fabio Zamperlini, and Jason Allen, and even Brent Cook. He'll be the final car to finish tonight. And actually, he is just behind Jason Allen and Fabio Zamperlini. Not close enough to mount a challenge on these final moments. And actually, Fabio Zamperlini has a problem coming to the start-finish. Is he out of fuel? Yes.
I think he was.
Wow, and he loses 22nd and 23rd and will finish 24th.
Just really unfortunate on the line, Andrew. I think we saw that last week, didn't we? Yeah, I think we did.
Stacy Bertrand.
Yep, and now with Fabio. Wow.
Incredible. Simply incredible. That was the entire race here from VIR. Let's go ahead and go through your unofficial race results, and you have just the next couple of moments to finalize the driver of the day vote in the YouTube chat. We'll have a graphic for this next week, I think, because this is beginning to get kind of popular here. Giuliano Romagnola leads. Tim Matsky, who just won the race, by the way, by 13.5 seconds. He's second in the driver of the day vote, so get your votes in now. When we finish the results, it's final. Let's go through the unofficial race results today from Virginia International Raceway. Finishing first, Tim Matsky out front in car 78, led 29 of 29 laps, so he just got that lap, by the way, in the pit lane. Matthew Dench goes second at 13.3 seconds behind, and Gustavo Ariel hangs on for third spot, 0.8 of a second to Toby Soriano there in fourth. Giuliano Romagnola will take fifth today for Maradness, a solid effort from your entire top five, outlasting everybody else that had problems. And you know what? A tip of the cap to Bruno De Carmo, who comes home in Pro Class 6th. Overall, though, 8th position. He had issues, fell back, and still climbed back up into the 8th position. That's impressive, but not quite as impressive as Scott Kimbrough winning today at VIR in the Pro-Am category. Martin Gramigna will go second. Julian Fernandez and Scott Reister, they complete your top 10.
Finish off in 11th place, we're going to have Thomas Rayleigh in 11th place, running off the Pro-Am podium. David Schwartz is going to finish in 12th place. Just behind him, looks like about a second. Paulo Godai is going to finish in 13th place ahead of Martin Crisp and Hunter McDaniel after what was seemingly a roller coaster race for the number 12. Justin Hall is going to finish in 16th place ahead of Blake Townend, and Mitchell Johnson, the championship leader, Andrew, before coming to this race, is going to finish in 18th place overall. Will Coffey is going to finish in 19th place. place, and Stacy Bertrand, is the number 52, is going to finish in 20th place.
Finishing in the 21st position, and Zach Deus there in car 012, making his first start for Radness today. A pretty solid effort, outlasts all of those drivers that finished a lap down and worse, and he will finish 21st today, just outside that top 20, so close to that top 20 spot. Jason Allen will finish 22nd, Brent Cook 23rd, Fabio Zamperlini there in 24th position, Juan Blaine at 25th, and he is the first car one lap down. Wow, just what a race in general, and heartbreak for Fabio Zamperlini, who finishes 24th, would have been 22nd, but ran out of fuel, literally passing the pit lane. Christopher Hill finishes 26th, Lucas Souza, Ryan Amon, Miguel Colon, and Neil Bledsoe, your top 30.
31st place goes the way of Rob Rodriguez ahead of Diego Era and Lois Santi. Marcos Saavedra, unfortunately, is going to finish 5 laps down ahead of Sean Dickinson, 8 laps down. Then the number 51, Andrew, had such a good comeback race. Unfortunately, is going to finish 36th place ahead of Victor Miranda and Jackson Resende. Look at those three, Andrew. Rico, Miranda, and Resende in a row. Unfortunately for them, not finishing the race. Then Rodrigo Lepri in 39th place and Ramon Vasquez in 40th place.
You have to consider if the championship run might be in jeopardy for each of those drivers. Rico, Miranda, and Resende, all capable of winning this championship. I know they can use today as a drop week, but that's a pretty tough drop week on lap number 2, or race 2 rather, to have to use. Finishing 41st, you'll find Joel Singleton in that number 010 McLaren. Eric Staropoli finishes 42nd. He did start the race, but Aaron Folkerts and John Sedlak did not. They are credited with 43rd and 44th, respectively. Tim Matsky, if you're out there watching, go ahead and join any of the channels here, any of the voice channels in the Pit Stop TV Discord. We see that you've joined. Just go ahead and join a channel and we can move you in. But let's go ahead and, for now, skip down to the one driver that we have. So Pro-Am guys, Scott Kimbrough, Martin Grabigna join as well. But let's go down to the one driver we have. That is Matthew Dench, who goes second today at VIR. And Matthew, you were one of the first drivers to confirm that you were making the switch, first of all, from a Porsche to anything, but lo and behold, it was a Lamborghini. What went into that car choice?
Well, after the big update, I just ran about 5 laps in each of the GT3 cars, and the Lambo, like, hands down, felt the safest to drive. So we just went with that because we had limited time, so we couldn't go full testing. But yeah, we just stuck with the Lambo, and it seems to have paid off.
Now, other than just feeling the safest right now, do you believe there's any kind of advantage on tires or anything like that with the Lamborghini? And how do you think that this update is going to affect this GT3 class in these races going forward?
In the little bit of testing that I did, I found if you slide the car at all, you're just going to, like, absolutely murder the tires, and then you'll have to take advantage of the tire change while fuel going in. But yeah, we just kept it nice and safe, and tried to not slide the car around too much, and our tyres were about 82% at the pit stop, so we were good to go.
And then I have one more two-part question for you. First of all, do you think tire changes will come in handy at all this season? It's only a second difference between fuel and tires. Secondly, would you be willing to disclose what your tires were at the end of the race or not?
For the tyres, I didn't check at the end of the race, but going off the first half of the stint, I'd say they'd be like 60, low 60s, maybe high 50s would be my guess. But yeah, I think I don't think taking tyres in a 50-minute race is going to be anyone's game plan, unless you're, like, absolutely sliding the car around all over the place. But yeah, like, if it's a 90-minute race, you'd probably look at tyre.
There you go. Matthew Dench gives us some insight as to how drivers and teams are approaching this new GT3 update. Matthew, thank you so much for the insight there. Congratulations on P2 today.
Yeah, thank you. It was only aiming for a top 10, so yeah, we'll take that.
Well, hey, you do a whole lot better than you were aiming there. Congratulations. Hopefully we see more out of you next week and finish one position higher.
Yeah, that'll that's the ultimate goal, so we'll give it a great hot crack anyway.
There you go, Matthew Dench with one heck of an effort here today at VIR. Let's now grab your race winner as he has joined. It's Tim Matsky. And JP, you said this guy was your hero for a little bit on iRacing. Well, here he is.
So Tim, I mean, after last week, you just bounced back essentially with perfection, led pretty much every single lap. Unfortunately, Matthew Dench stole your fastest lap of the race on the final lap. How was it from your point of view?
Hey, Yeah, it was great. I mean, a nice race, really smooth. Not much going on really. I was just focusing on my own race and not really looking too much what was happening behind me. I practiced a lot this week because last week I, as you said, had a really bad race. I mean, also self-inflicted. I made stupid mistakes and I was also not prepared as well. So I had to make sure to not look like a fool again and ruin people's races again. So there was a lot of practice time in this one, and also car enjoy driving more. So everything came together nicely. I was really happy with the quali lap, and then just tried to focus on myself and managed to have a clean race this time. So I'm really happy. Couldn't have gone any better, as you said.
And if I'm not mistaken, last week you were with the Porsche. What made you choose the Audi for this week?
Well, firstly, the Audi is probably my favorite GT3 car. I've driven it the most, and I'm most competitive in it. And then additionally, it is probably the strongest car on the fixed setup, together with the Lambo now. Matthew was in the Lambo, I believe. The Audi and the Lambo naturally are better on fixed setups generally, and also with the patch, I think they will be probably the strongest cars even with a setup. So I was just happy that the update made the Audi the car that I like better again. So I'm gonna be more competitive now. And besides that, I mean, you've got it on the broadcast right now. It's just looks amazing, right?
Yeah, it certainly does. I absolutely love the look of the Audi. And just one final question before the broadcast, me and Andrew, we kind of just debated whether or not tire they would degrade over time, and obviously at the end of the race if you guys were suffering. But at the end of the race, you were just doing purple laps. Did you feel the new tire dag over the course of the race, or was it a bit more of the same?
There's certainly more deck, but the deck doesn't always necessarily transfer into less grip. And while the percentage drops more than before, you don't really feel the grip drop so much. So it's very new. We all have very little experience with it, but the old tires seem to be really consistent and strong.
All very interesting insights from you, Tim. Thank you for your time. Well done on the race victory today, and hopefully we can talk to you next week again. And well, best of luck.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend, guys. See ya. Bye.
Absolutely. The same goes to you, Tim and Andrew. That was our race winner. I mean, certainly, bounced back with perfection, didn't he?
That he did. And I do want to mention, in the pro class, Giuliano Romagnolo does take the driver of the day vote, finishing 5th today. I think we'll have to bar him from that vote next week, as Morad Nervi showed up in droves once again to get him that vote, but he's got it 2 weeks in a row. I think that's fair enough. But let's go down to Scott Kimbrough, who wins the race in Pro-Am. And Scott, not only do you win in class, but you go 6th today. How much was attrition a factor?
I'm sure it was definitely some. I saw a lot of cars mowing lawn.
And we've been talking with drivers so far about how different these cars are to drive. Just from Monday to now, how much has your practice regimen changed? How much has the feel of the car changed?
I think it's changed quite a bit. You can definitely feel the car moving around a lot more, especially under braking. It doesn't like it if you try to be too aggressive. If you are too aggressive and you kind of overheat the tires, you can feel it get loose on you in the next few corners. It's dramatically different than it was before Tuesday.
And what kind of change do you think that means going forward as far as car selection? Do you think you stay with the Audi? Do you think the field stays with the Audi base of the Audi and the Lamborghini? Or do you think we'll see a little more parity in car selection moving forward throughout the rest of the season as you guys learn more?
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of learning happening over the next couple of weeks, especially what we have. Do we have one more race and then some downtime for the holiday? So I think coming out of the holiday, a lot of people will have figured a lot more things out. And my hope is that you see a whole bunch of different cars in there. I like to drive the Audi, but like last week, watching Porsche Cup in GT3 isn't really the best show in my opinion. So it's cool when there's a lot of variety of cars.
That it is. Scott Kimbrough, thanks so much for your time. Congratulations on the Pro-Am win tonight. You just might have that points lead after this weekend. We'll have to see when we show up to CTMP next week, but congratulations once more. We'll see you in Canada in a week's time.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Scott Kimbrough, it's good to talk to him once again as he wins in Pro-Am. And JP, As I mentioned, Romagnolo takes the Driver of the Day vote. So the winners in this race, you could say Tim Metzke, Julian Romagnolo, and Scott Kimbrough. Interesting spread. And just an interesting race in general. A really, really good race to watch. A whole lot happened. A lot of twists and turns. And it just might be added to next week. Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. That is not an easy place to go race with GT3 cars. It is so fast. Such a tight line that you have to be on. Much like VIR. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun, especially after what Matthew told us. If you slide the car, if you slide the tires, they're essentially gone. And I feel like we should expect a bit more sliding in Canadian Tire than what we saw here today. So it could be interesting on the tire aspect over there. Obviously, only time will tell. And then obviously after that, Andrew, that's going to be the last race for this year on the NARL calendar. Then the drivers will have a nice long holidays essentially to just practice a lot. And then in Brazil, I feel like we should see everybody on top of their game to, essentially just fight for those victories and obviously fight for the championship, which the battle should be very, very interesting right now.
Yeah, this race definitely caught everybody off guard as far as just how significant these GT3 changes were, just how much things have changed up, and just trying to build setups. But now these guys have a full week. Obviously, they don't have previous data to go off of, but they at least have a full week of practice and setup building ahead for Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And then they have 3 weeks to get ready for January 5th at Interlagos, then at Suzuka, Spa, and then another 2-week break before England and Daytona at Brands Hatch and Daytona International Speedway. It's going to be a lot of fun throughout the rest of this season. Memorize this schedule because we're going to be talking about it a lot over the course of the next, 6 rounds, I think 8 or 9 weeks total. GP, it's been a lot of fun. How do you sum up this race here at VIR in, I guess, a sentence or so?
I mean, I think that a good chaotic, nice surprise. I feel like those are some of the words that I think will describe tonight's race. Not expected, I think also will come because, we expected a good race, Andrew, but I think we got so much more than that. And on the pro race, I think it was just for so many different reasons that we weren't expecting. Seeing so many drivers, so many pro drivers struggling throughout the race was certainly, I guess, a welcome surprise in a way. And I think it just, sets on for a nice championship and a nice race next week as well.
We'll definitely have plenty to talk about over the course of this season. Let's take a look at some upcoming broadcasts here at Pit Stop TV. Now, I know it still shows tonight, and I know that Saturday is actually Thursday. Well, anyways, let's go with it as best as we can here. A couple of mistakes there. I'll take blame for that. But VIR, that's done and dusted. It is CTMP next week, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the North American Racing League. But the rest of the weekend here on Pit Stop TV, we have 3 more very important broadcasts for Elite Performance Industries Speed Week. First up, tomorrow night, December 9th, we've got Volusia Speedway Park with pro and super late models on the dirt. That's going to be a lot of fun. You see a picture of one there, and if you think that car looks weird, just wait. You can see the one next to it, the Tour Modified. We've got SK Modifieds and Tour Modifieds from Five Flags Speedway on Saturday, not Thursday, Saturday, December 10th. And then Sunday, we've got late model racing, late model stock cars, and super late models from Five Flags. Kind of the feature event of the whole week, and JP, plenty of places to keep up with Pit Stop TV and everything going on the channel.
Absolutely. You can follow us on all social media at facebook.com/pitstoptv, at twitter.com/pitstoptv_, on instagram.com/pit_stop_tv, and obviously on youtube.com/pitstoptv1.
That will do it this evening from Virginia International Raceway. So much to try and soak in. Let's just do it by thanking our partners here at the North American Racing League Virtual Racing School. I'm a subscriber myself, and, next week we should be on their YouTube channel, hopefully, but a big partner of this North American Racing League, working on streaming collaboration, prize collaboration. So much going on between the North American Racing League and VRS, and let's not forget Moradness and JS Consulting. I know Daniel Morad says he's just the glove guy, but he is such an integral part of iRacing as a whole, and especially the community over at Moradness. Check out Moradness and their Discord channel as soon as you can. I certainly recommend joining that community. And of course, a big shout out to JS Consulting and John Sedlak for all they do for this league. And a big thank you to our partners here at Pit Stop TV, Whiplash Media SimCams, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, and SimWrapMarket.com. That will do it for us this evening from Virginia International Raceway. Once again, thank you so much for watching. We can't wait to be back here in 1 week's time from Mosport. Hopefully you join us there, but hopefully you really join us tomorrow night. Again, Pro and Super Late Models on Dirt at Volusia for EPI Speed Week. Otherwise, we'll see you next week, Thursday at 8:30 Eastern. Can't wait for it. We'll see you there.
Are you struggling to keep up with the top drivers? Are you ready to get faster and more consistent? If so, it doesn't have to take as long as you might think. With the VRS competitive subscription, you'll have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything you need to analyze your driving and see exactly where you're losing time. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off your lap times. When it comes to your equipment holding you back, the powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the best drivers in the world, including Jordan Caruso, Tim Ryan, Jordi Lopez, and Oscar Piastri. It's no secret that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also the best value for money. So if you're looking to upgrade your wheelbase to direct drive and want highly adjustable, ultra-realistic pedals, VRS is your answer. You can get better, faster, and more consistent in less time and for less money. You owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. Just go to the URL or the button below and learn why the best use VRS. Are you struggling to keep up with the top drivers? Are you ready to get faster and more consistent? If so, it doesn't have to take as long as you might think. With the VRS competitive subscription, you'll have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything you need to analyze your driving and see exactly where you're losing time. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off your lap times. When it comes to your equipment holding you back, the powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the best drivers in the world, including Jordan Caruso, Tim Ryan, Jordi Lopez, and Oscar Piastri. It's no secret that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also the best value for money. So if you're looking to upgrade your wheelbase to direct drive and want highly adjustable, ultra-realistic pedals, VRS is your answer. You can get better, faster, and more consistent in less time and for less money. You owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. Just go to the URL or the button below and learn why the best use VRS.